career suicide. If you went to Real Madrid, right, you have 6 months, you'd oust Mbappe, he'd get ousted by the fans, and then he'd be done. Right? At Villa, I'll tell you what, he could play bloody Tyrone Mings at striker, and I'd still trust the process. Do you know what I mean?
Are you saying he's going to say no to Real Madrid?
Yes. Kindly give Red a ball, mate. You're Chelsea. Where are you? 9th?
I tend to agree with you.
I don't know what to say today.
No, I get the whole. I get James. I get your whole argument. No,
I don't know what to say today.
Shut up a minute.
Middlesbrough's manager says the last few weeks have left him feeling rather tired. Kim Hellberg has spoken publicly for the first time since the EFL sent Borough through to the Championship playoff final. Hellberg has been asked if he feels vindicated over Southampton's punishment.
Punishment for me is not to decide, and I was never talking about punishment when I talked about it either. I talked about my emotions. That's football, that's emotions, and that's what I tried to be since I arrived.
But how would the public react if Borough win? Live on TalkSport this weekend, football legal expert Stefan Borsan has given his verdict.
They've been fortunate that they happened to play Southampton, who happened to spy on them, that then happened to be expelled. They've benefited from that. They now need to go and win the game, and I think we'll forget about it in due course.
Well, if Hull City do indeed lose the final, their owner has suggested he'll review his legal options. Hull's manager Sergei Yerkerovich insists his side was always going to be ready for Saturday, regardless of the opponent.
We know everything about them, they know everything about us, so we will see now Saturday. Our main focus is this final game, so no matter who will be our opponent, our focus and concentration is on our team, what we can do there, how we can use our advantages.
Meanwhile, could Southampton boss Tonda Eka be sacked tonight? Well, he met the players at the Saints training ground earlier. We understand owner Dragan Solak is furious as the FA opens its own investigation into the individuals around Spygate. Elsewhere, TalkSport understands Dean Henderson, Mark Gahey, Anthony Gordon and Lewis Hall have all made the England squad for the World Cup. Henderson will arrive late to the camp because of the Conference League final. Thomas Tuchel is also reportedly strongly considering calling up Levi Colwill. Meanwhile, following Villa's demolition of Freiburg last night, Gabby Agbonlahor says Morgan Rogers is a certainty for England's starting 11 this summer.
I think he's going to be one of our key players for the tournament, and the Thomas Tuchel loves him.
And Mikel Arteta says Jurrien Timber could be fit for the Champions League final. Plenty more, as always, at TalkSport.com.
Good evening, this is Kickoff on TalkSport. I'm Natalie Sawyer and delighted to say alongside me this evening it is the former Aston Villa, Liverpool and Wales striker Dean Saunders. Coming up over the next 3 hours, we're going to celebrate Aston Villa's Europa League success and hear from jubilant fans at today's trophy parade. We'll look ahead to the last day of the Premier League season with a few eras coming to an end, not least if widespread reports are even to be believed that of Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. TalkSport have announced our World Cup squad. We're going to be joined by one of our team to look ahead to the tournament. And of course, the England squad is announced tomorrow. Who do you think should be included and who doesn't deserve a spot? It's fair to say news is emerging all the time. We're getting stories all the time about those that have been omitted and those that have been included. You can get in touch this evening, 03717 223344. That's the number to call us on. That's the number to WhatsApp us on. Or you can text us to 81089. This is Kickoff on TalkSport. How you doing, Dean?
Evening, Nat. Oh, well, I'm delighted. It's a brilliant time of year, isn't it, with football coming to a conclusion.
Yeah.
Arsenal won the league, so that was good. And then Aston Villa last night. What a performance from Aston Villa last night.
It was just all one way, wasn't it? It was fantastic.
The goals were brilliant. The 3 goals, they could have had probably 3 or 4 more. I don't think they laid a glove on Villa Friday.
No.
And I couldn't work out whether they were that bad or they were just getting outclassed all over the pitch.
I would tend to go for the latter.
Yeah, I thought Villa, like when you look at if you start marking the players how they played out of 10, it's very hard to find someone who never got a 7, below a 7.
Yeah.
And what I liked about it, the manager's obviously brilliant. He knows what he's doing. That's 5 times he's won it. And do you know what? I was proud of the players, the way they treated the manager after the game. The goalkeeper picks him up above his head.
Yeah.
He's nearly left the club a couple of times, Martinez.
That's right.
He picks the manager up, so he's obviously not had a row with the manager. And then they made a tunnel for him to run through. And they were even I watched the players who never started. They were all smiling and jumping on him.
Indeed.
So he's obviously tells them the truth. He's straight as a die, and they won't agree with everything he says, but he's obviously straight with the players.
Well, look, we're going to talk more about that a little bit later on because, of course, we still want to celebrate that incredible success for Aston Villa, their first trophy in 30 years as well. But we are getting word all the time today, and no doubt throughout the night as well, about who is in and who is out ahead of England's World Cup squad announcement that's coming your way tomorrow. Thomas Tuchel and the team, of course, will be bringing that with you here on TalkSport. Let's speak to our very own chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, to bring you all the very latest, because, Crookie, I don't think you can go to bed anytime soon, that's for sure. I know it's still quite early, but you know what I mean. It's never ending, all the news that's getting leaked out there.
Evening, Alex.
Good evening. Not for the first time in the last week or so. I'm absolutely frazzled with the news that we've been breaking all afternoon on TalkSport. He does love a curveball, doesn't he, Thomas Tuchel? Just when you think you know what he might be thinking ahead of this World Cup squad announcement tomorrow, all kinds of stories reaching us. It started with the exclusive news we broke during drive time that Harry Maguire will not be on the plane. He's not going to be part of Thomas Tuchel's England squad in North America this summer. We also got an exclusive statement from Maguire telling us that he was confident he could have played a major part for his country this summer after ending the season in good form with Manchester United. He said he was shocked and gutted by the decision, did go on to wish his England teammates all the best in the upcoming World Cup. No place either for Phil Foden. Maybe not quite such a surprise that one. He hasn't really done it for Manchester City this season. He's not performed well when he's had the chance in an England shirt. Luke Shaw was omitted. We thought that would probably mean that Lewis Hall at Newcastle would get a place in the squad. Certainly his camp seemed confident about that. Our understanding is he's not going to the World Cup either. One player who we think is on the plane is Kobbie Mainoo, who obviously had a really good second half of the season at Manchester United. I'm hearing whispers that Ollie Watkins could well have played his way back into the squad as well. And what about this reaching us in the last few minutes? Ivan Toney, who we thought probably had played his way out of contention. He only got 5 minutes under Thomas Tuchel in that friendly against Senegal back in June. Pretty open secret, didn't impress the England manager in training. But I can tell you, it's our understanding at TalkSport, Ivan Toney is in the squad. He will be part of England's squad at the World Cup this summer, which I think, along with Harry Maguire's absence, is probably the biggest curveball of all.
I mean, I'm just shocked listening to this because, as you say, there are so many curveballs, Dean, that clearly Thomas Tuchel and his coaching staff have come up with, that none of us were expecting some of these omissions and additions, with the fact that Ivan Toney could be included.
Well, yeah, I thought Harry Maguire for his experience. I actually thought Luke Shaw's done enough to get in the squad. You know, he's been fit for a long time. I thought, you know, Man United third in the league, and he's played well recently. And we were talking off air, wasn't we? And I was saying, I was saying to Natalie, Crookie, what about if Harry Kane gets injured? We've got Ollie Watkins. I said, who's the other one? Solanke, don't know whether he's fit. I said, what about Ivan Toney then? He's not become a bad player just because he's playing in Saudi. And Nat looked his goals up. Has he gone, Crookie?
No, he's still there.
No,
Nat looked his goals up. He's got 32 goals this season.
In 32 appearances in the league.
32 games. So when you lose in a game, you've got to have players on the bench who've got an instinct to get you an equaliser or get you a winner. It's no use bringing midfield players on who never score a goal or make a goal. You've got players on the bench, and I think Ivan Toney obviously scores penalties and gets goals. He knows where to go. He can sniff a goal out. So I think that's a good decision, that one.
I think one of the concerns that Thomas Tuchel had when he was in the squad, as I mentioned a year ago, played that friendly only a few minutes against Nottingham Forest. And if you remember, there were images of him sat on the bench visibly fuming that he hadn't been called upon earlier, was that his levels in training weren't at the same level of those in the squad who obviously have been playing at a much higher level domestically. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how match fit Ivan Toney is. But it's a really interesting one. Dan Burn as well, by the way, there was some talk that he could miss out. I always thought he would be in because he's been involved in every squad. He was one of those players that Thomas Tuchel left out for the 1st of March internationals. He is on the plane, Dan Burn, and that is a fairy story, really, when you look at his career. Bombed out by Newcastle as a striker as a kid, obviously worked his way back up through the leagues as a centre-back, got that dream move to Newcastle, scoring a cup final, and now he's going to be playing at the World Cup. That is real Roy the Rover stuff when it comes to Dan Burn.
Alex, I've got to say, and it's got that bad that you don't even get a mention now, how can Trent not get in the England squad? I can't believe it. He'd get in every other squad in the World Cup.
Well, he is in the 55. Every international manager has to name a 55-man squad and then whittle it down to 26, which is what Thomas Tuchel has been doing today and tomorrow. So there is still a chance, but I think it's unlikely. And I think one of the big reasons it's unlikely is because of his relationship with Jude Bellingham. I think that Thomas Tuchel feels that Trent's presence could be a distraction. And I think he feels he's just got better defenders. Reece James will be the starting right back if he's fit. But that's a little bit of a gamble, isn't it? The other one I'm really intrigued about is John Stones, because obviously no Harry Maguire, that senior figure at the heart of the defence. Does that mean there could be a place for John Stones? That would be a risk as well, wouldn't it, when you look at how little football he's played for Manchester City this season?
4 games he's played, hasn't he?
Yeah. But obviously he's got that tournament experience. We're waiting to see if Jordan Henderson will be included. Yeah. We're pretty sure that he will. But you'll know, Natalie, he's not been playing week in, week out for Brentford in recent weeks.
And picked up an injury after the last international break, or during that international break, I should say. So, I'm also curious, sorry to interrupt you, Alex, but the number 10 role, because it seems as though there's more not being picked than at present we know are going.
Yeah, we know that Jude Bellingham will be on the plane. We know that Morgan Rogers will be there. But you wondered who of Foden, Cole Palmer and Morgan Gibbs-White would be selected. Well, we're pretty definitive. There's no place for either Foden or for Cole Palmer. Could that open the door for Morgan Gibbs-White? Well, we've been speaking to sources at Nottingham Forest over the past couple of hours, and the message we're getting back is he's not looking hopeful for Morgan Gibbs-White. And again, I think that's a bit harsh when you look at the form that he has shown this season. It's been his best goal-scoring campaign. But I've always sensed right from the off that Thomas Tuchel isn't a massive fan of Morgan Gibbs-White, and I think he's a bit unlucky. You could say the same about Adam Wharton. He's about to play in a major European final for Crystal Palace. We also broke that news that he's not going to be in the squad either. So probably, apart from Ivan Toney, as often happens with these squad announcements, we're talking more about who's out than who's in.
They are queuing up in the number 10 spot, though.
Well, they are.
Queuing up, aren't they?
They are.
I'd play Bellingham behind Kane.
I think that's what most
choice.
will expect.
And then you start thinking Morgan Rogers next.
Yeah.
In that number 10. Then I'd think Cole Palmer. Then I'd probably go Foden. Eze.
Yeah.
So
do we think Eze's going to get in there?
White, they're just queuing up, aren't they?
Crookie, do we think Eze's going to get in there?
You'd have thought so, with no Foden and Palmer and probably no Gibbs-White. And obviously he's a player that has been picked fairly regularly by Thomas Tuchel. Noni Madueke and Bukayo Saka, I guess they're no-brainers really in that wide right position. The other one we're trying to find out about is Jarrod Bowen, whose goal-scoring form has fallen off a cliff at the end of the season at West Ham. But he does offer that versatility, doesn't he? He can play as a wide midfielder in behind a striker, or if needed, he can play up front as well. Rashford will be in. Anthony Gordon is in, so that's the two left-sided picks. But yeah, it's interesting on Eze. No confirmation, but I think as every number 10 falls by the wayside, his chances become greater.
I mean, it's one of those situations, Crookie, where, you know, if you go back to the start of the season, looking ahead to a World Cup, thinking what an important year this is going to be for all those players involved and wanting to get into this squad, Palmer and Foden, we would have definitely expected to be 100% certainties for this.
Yeah, we would. And even if you go back to that European final, it was Palmer off the bench who scored the goal, wasn't it? You know, it could have been an iconic moment for England had they gone on to win that game. But I think if you're being brutally honest, he's had his injury problems this season, but he's not been the same Cole Palmer, has he? And it's certainly the case for Phil Foden as well. So I think actually one of the criticisms we've had of England managers in the past is they've been afraid to leave out star players regardless of their club form. And I think in this case, probably on form, Foden and Palmer don't deserve to be in the 26.
Yeah, like I said, the queuing up in the number 10 spot, bit short up front, maybe a little bit short at left back, but the rest of the squad is solid.
Well, that is the question then. If there's no Lewis Hall, no Luke Shaw, was that what you were saying as well?
Yeah, no Luke Shaw.
So
Dan Burn can play left back
O'Reilly,
or centre back. O'Reilly, who's obviously a real talent.
Jed Spence, particularly, we've not heard if he's in or not so far. I'd be as worried actually about the right back position because I mentioned that Reece James, obviously a player that Thomas Tuchel knows well, he is a shoe-in for the squad for me, and we're 90% certain he will be in. But obviously, he's a player with a history of his body letting him down and picking up injuries. Tino Livramento probably will be the backup right back, but he gets a lot of injuries as well. So I think actually, Nico O'Reilly apart, and he's been a phenomenon for Manchester City this season, but he's played in midfield a lot. There's injury concerns in both the fullback areas.
Alex, who would you want on the ball if you got 70% possession against Croatia? Who would you want halfway in the opposition's half on the right with the ball at his feet? Who would you want on the ball as a right back? Not Saka. So you've got the ball all afternoon. What right back? Yeah. So you're not going to have to defend a lot.
You're asking for Trent, aren't you?
Yeah. I can't get my head around it. How can Jed Spence get in the squad before Trent?
I think it's going to be a massive talking point. It's going to be a big talking point. I think it's certainly going to be a question that we put to Thomas Tuchel tomorrow, but he is never one to shy away from answers, is he? I think what surprised me about this squad is, as I said right at the top, just the number of curveballs, because I think we could have all sat down yesterday and predicted who would be in and who would be out, but none of us would have put Ivan Toney in the reckoning. That is absolutely for certain. I think most of us felt that Harry Maguire would have gone, although maybe we should have read between the lines when he made that comment, didn't he, Thomas Tuchel, about Maguire basically being fifth choice centre-back, which felt a bit disrespectful at the time. But his form for United has been brilliant. He's played a massive part in them finishing third in the table. And then you look at that number 10 position, you'd have thought one of Foden, Palmer or Gibbs-White would get in there.
Stay by your phone, will you? Stay by your Zoom or whatever it is you're on as well. We might need you later. But thank you very much for now, Cookie.
Thanks, Alex.
Oh, it's going to be a busy evening and a busy day tomorrow.
What time is the official squad announced?
Well, it's I think 10 o'clock, but 9:45 proceedings are going to start, I think.
Do you know, it's the first time I felt gutted that Wales are not in it. I was gutted when we never qualified.
Yeah.
And then I sort of put it to one side. And now it's getting to the point where the squads are being named. Got used to qualifying. Nah.
I know.
Devastated we're not involved.
I know. Especially now everyone's talking about squads.
Yeah.
That's what you want to be talking about right now. But unfortunately, we are not. And Scotland have already named their squad as well. But don't forget, tomorrow morning, Adrian Durham, Stuart Pearce will be your breakfast show team. They will be bringing you that squad announcement as well from 9:45 a.m. And of course, we're going to talk plenty more about England throughout the show. We'll talk about Aston Villa, of course, who are having that trophy parade after winning the Europa League. We'll also look ahead to the final day of the Premier League season, where there are still a number of things still to be decided. We're also going to bring the latest odds, and we'd love to hear from you on everything that we're discussing too. 03717 223344. This is Kickoff with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org.
What was your overriding emotion last night, watching it all unfold?
and feeling as you do for this great club?
I think for me, it's Aston Villa a sleeping giant. You know, European Cup winners in 1982. All you ever heard was, you wasn't born. You wasn't born when Villa won that. They've only won, last trophy was 30 years ago. So it was that pressure, sort of that monkey off the back for Aston Villa fans and the players and the football club. But emotion as well, Jim, because I spoke to so many Villa fans, parents that have passed away, you know, family members that have passed away, and what this would have meant to those people that aren't here today. And people are going through a lot. You know, everyone's going through a lot, football fans. What last night can do to give people a boost, what they're going through in their life. It was amazing to see my people, my fellow Brummies, so happy.
Brilliant. Your people. You're right, your people. In terms of legendary status, Gabby, where is this group now?
Oh, they're legends. And I say this all the time, Jim, I don't like to be called a legend. I feel legends of a football club need to win something. I really do. The 1982 players, they're legends of the football club. Now, these group of players are, and the one player, I don't like to pick one, but the one player that stands out for me is our captain. Scotland are lucky to have him, John McGinn. Immense, and I was so happy for him, what he's been through for this football club. The small price that Aston Villa paid for him, was it 2.5 million? What a player, what a nice guy, and what a captain.
Gabby, can I ask you personally, did you watch with regret last night that you never quite experienced a night like that?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, we got to the Carabao Cup final, we got to the FA Cup final and lost, but to get to a European final and get it over the line, the pressure that was on the players, because they were highly favourites in the game as well, to win against Freiburg, it wasn't like a jealous feeling. It was like, wow, I missed out. Wow, what I'll do to be on that pitch to share that, because the players know, Jim, the players get it, what it means to the Aston Villa fans to win another European Cup title.
Get ready to get the ultimate football fan winning feeling with TalkSport Win.
This is Kickoff on TalkSport, and you're in the company of the former Villa and Wales striker Dean Saunders and me, Natalie Sawyer. Now, how does this sound? With the 2026 FIFA World Cup almost here, thanks to Adidas, the tournament's official matchball supplier, TalkSport is sending you and a friend to Dallas, Texas. You could be then at England's first game against Croatia on June the 17th with return flights, accommodation, spending money, tickets, and the official Adidas matchball, the Triunda, all thrown in. Here's how you have to enter. For your chance to win, you can go to talksportwin.com or text the word WIN to 83338. That's text the word WIN to 83338. Text and online entries cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or you can call this number, 0343 418 7260. That's 0343 418 7260. Entries must be in by June the 1st, 4 p.m. And that's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. That's for 18s and over, UK residents only. This is a TalkSport promotion. Full T's and C's can be found at talksportwin.com. Just a reminder, for your chance to win, text the word WIN to 83338 right now. And best of luck as well for it. Goodness me. That's a great prize.
I'm going to enter that.
You won't be able to win.
That's my only chance of getting there.
I guarantee you will not be allowed to win.
Am I allowed to enter that competition?
No, see, everyone's saying no.
Producer's shaking his head there.
Do you not think it would look a bit wrong if you won that competition?
Yeah, but if it's all above board, you know, and I won it fair and square. And I'm on the plane.
What,
you want a plane?
You're going to sit in the England
Have you
then?
been invited to the USA yet?
We shall move on.
You have?
I'm going out there.
I haven't.
I know. Let's not talk
Mind
about
you,
that.
I never got invited to a Christmas party, so...
What do you mean? It's kind of word of mouth thing.
TalkSport.
What, no one told you about it?
No.
I'm sorry. That will be rectified.
Yeah, so forget the World Cup.
You can have like the Ivan Toney comeback at the next time there's a party.
As soon as Wales got knocked out, I was just totally forgotten about. Binned.
Keep going.
Oh,
Get the tears going.
I'm going to enter it.
All right.
I'll enter it in a false name.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Is that legal?
I don't know, because then you're cheating.
No, that's not legal.
It.
No. All right,
Listen,
then.
we don't need
I'll find
that.
another way of getting
With
there.
Spygate this week, we don't need Dino Gate as well. We just don't need
By
it.
the way, my dad played for England. I can qualify still.
I think, though, we're all right. We might be all right. Might be all right. But anyway, look, there's more to come on England because there's just more and more news coming out of the potential England squad announcement that's coming your way tomorrow. Some huge names being omitted and some really interesting call-ups too. But that is to come. Right now, let's bring you the latest odds from Ladbrokes.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And let's say a very good evening to Nicola McGeady. How are you, Nicola?
Hello, Nicola.
I'm good, Nat. Hi, Dino. All I can say, I don't want to get you started again, Dino, but I feel your pain, okay? So I'm just going to jump on the Scottish bandwagon and...
Nicola, I need some tips then. Try and pacify me with a few tips.
There we go.
She is brilliant.
I'll never be able to relive the day. I think it was at Goodwood and I went through the card for Chester and gave Dino every winner that day.
Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. Every winner.
What?
Honestly,
hang on, Nicola. I don't think I've been ever given these tips. What?
I was in the coral box and you couldn't see the carpet. I had that much money.
So you don't need to win that prize then. You're sorted. You're fine. Let's look ahead to what is to come, Nicola, shall we? And, of course, we now know it is confirmed that Hull will take on Middlesbrough in the Championship playoff final on Saturday. So who are the favourites for this?
Yeah, well, Borough come into this massive game, obviously 5-6 favourites, boasting the better form, but we're expecting the final to be tight, really tense from start to finish. Hull, they're 16-5, but I reckon we're going to see support for the draw as well, which is 5-2. Hull have been involved in plenty of stalemates recently, including against Millwall in the home leg of their semi-final, and the same can be said for Middlesbrough, where 6 of their last 11 matches have ended in draws. So look, we do expect both teams to score in the final, which is odds on at 10-11. And I think history between these two sides suggests that that will be the case as well. 6 of the last 8 meetings between the sides have seen at least 3 goals being scored. So over 2.5 goals, that's in there at even money. But I do think the draw stands out here. We don't often get lots of goals in these types of games, so I think it'll be pretty cagey, and I'm going to put my neck in the line. Ooh. I'm going to go 1-1 at 11-2, but Dino's probably just jinxed it when it comes to my tips.
I can't make a decision. We'll move on to it later. I can't believe the decision they've made to kick Southampton out.
Well,
harsh.
Yes, and that is something we'll get onto a little bit later on, I promise you that. So that's on Saturday. Then on Sunday, there's a few things still to be decided in the Premier League. And obviously West Ham and Tottenham going into their respective home games with lots of nerves, I'm sure, Nicola.
Yeah, it'll actually be crazy that either West Ham or Spurs will be saying goodbye to one or the other teams. Obviously, West Ham have it all to do if they want to maintain, I think it's 14 years top flight status. They're 2 points behind Spurs with the inferior goal difference. And look, the odds don't bode well for them. They're overwhelming favourites to be relegated now at 1-7 to go down. We know these final days can produce crazy drama. So look, it may not be that clear cut. West Ham have to beat Leeds at home and also need Spurs to lose at home to Everton. And look, Everton have collected more points on the road than they did at home this season. And Spurs have only won once at home in the league since the opening weekend. So it's all not lost for West Ham. Spurs, though, they are 9-2 to be relegated. So it's just going to be a very nervy, tense weekend for those respective fans. We're seeing some money for Spurs to go down as well, but that money's possibly from West Ham fans.
Well, that'll be the bonus they get then if that happens. What about anything else to look forward to in the Premier League, Nicola?
Yeah, look, final day is always really tricky for punters. Most of the value can probably be had from the games where teams have something to play for. You know, sticking with Spurs, they're 10 to 11 to beat Everton. West Ham are also odds on at 4 to 5 to beat Leeds. Also, we have, top 4 odds still live. Villa are 4 to 11. Liverpool are 11 to 8. Obviously, Villa need to avoid losing to City, but they're 5 to 1 to draw, 13 to 2 to win. And Liverpool, they're expected to see off Brentford. Sorry about that, Nat, but they are 4 to 5.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a huge Sunday still. I know obviously the title's been decided and a fair few European places, but there are a number of teams still hoping that they might be able to get into the top 8 and then secure European football with it as well. Nicola, thank you so much for being with us this evening. That was a look at the latest odds with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleWhy.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
You're listening to Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Up next, Dom Smith from The Standard will join us to try and make some sense of this England squad announcement that is coming our way tomorrow. We'll get your thoughts too. We certainly know there's no Harry Maguire because he's made that public on social media this evening. Is that the right call? 03 717 22 3344.
It is a sensational story and so many strands to it. And I've seen a lot of Southampton fans who've come out in condemnation of the club. They say this is the darkest day in their long history. And I think a lot of Southampton fans are quite embarrassed at the way in which their name has been dragged through the mud. As you say, the punishment is immediate expulsion from that playoff final on Saturday, the £200 million game. So they have been stolen of the right to possibly get back into the Premier League the first time of asking, and a 4-point deduction for the start of next season. That's because, as I understand it, the EFL argued that the playoffs needed to be treated as a separate cup competition. Obviously, Southampton admitted spying on Middlesbrough, so that's where that punishment comes from. They also admitted over the course of this hearing with the Independent Commission spying on at least 2 other Championship teams, which is why there's also a points penalty for next season. Southampton appealed it immediately, not because they feel they're innocent, but because they feel the punishment doesn't really befit the crime. One of the things I was told coming out of St Mary's is they feel this is unprecedented. It is, because there isn't a precedent. I know that Marcelo Bielsa escaped with a fine, but it was only after that incident ahead of the Leeds final playoff with Derby that it was put in the rule book. So this is uncharted territory. Southampton have told staff in an email that I've seen from the Chief Executive, Phil Parsons, their legal team are confident they've got a strong case. They're going to keep preparing for this game on Saturday. I don't think it's going to be overturned in terms of Southampton being allowed to play this final. What could happen is a sort of halfway house where the points deduction gets rescinded. But I think there's enough evidence that Southampton will not take their place at Wembley. We're hearing stories of analysts dressing as staff wearing the kits of non-league Eastleigh when Ipswich were using their training ground in order to spy. So this is quite sinister in many ways. This is not just some bloke who's turned up at the Middlesbrough training ground and filmed a few minutes of training. So I think they're banged to rights. I think they've shown very little contrition. I think it's poor that we haven't had a statement from Southampton in the aftermath of this punishment. We still haven't heard officially from the club. Yeah, we're a long way down the line now. Surely they should have had something prepared.
Following last night's Europa League final, Gabby Agbonlahor says it's now a no-brainer as to who starts at 10 for England this summer.
Ali, there's no debate between now and the World Cup of who's going to play number 10. We're going to need something else to talk about on TalkSport because it's Morgan Rogers.
And the question is, can Unai Emery's side now kick on domestically?
I don't see how Villa can, because it's weighted against them. Could they with this manager? Could they with this owners? Could they with this scale of a football club and their support base? Absolutely could. Will they be allowed by the construct of the way that the rules are put in place now? How can they?
Now, could Southampton sack Tonda Eckert by the end of today? He's arrived at the training ground and we understand Saints owner Dragan Solak is en route. Well, the FA has opened up its own investigation into the individuals involved in Spygate, and do Hull City have a case to sue the EFL if they lose this weekend's playoff final? Here's football finance expert Stefan Borson.
I think there is an argument to run that says Middlesbrough are out. Millwall are out. So there is nobody left in this mini competition that we're talking about. There is nobody left for Hull to play.
And PSG's Ousmane Dembele is confident he'll be fit for the Champions League final. That's despite limping off during their final league game of this season.
Good evening. You're tuning into Kickoff this Thursday evening, and it's Dean Saunders, the former Wales striker, who's with me, Natalie Sawyer. So much for us to get through. We will be discussing the Championship playoff final and the Spygate ramifications as well, after the written reasons have been published this evening, and they are quite enlightening as well. That is to come. We'll also bring you the very latest on Aston Villa's trophy parade, because, of course, for the first time in 30 years, they're celebrating winning the Europa League, as they did last night, beating Freiburg so convincingly. And lots more coming your way as well. We have already started the show by talking about the England squad. It's going to be officially announced tomorrow morning, but by the sounds of it, we're going to know it all in full detail, Dean Saunders, by the time that comes around. They're dropping like flies. They are dropping like flies, and it's quite a worry because you're thinking, who's left? But yes, lots of surprises already. So joining us to discuss it in more detail, it's Dom Smith, the football reporter and England correspondent from The Standard. Dom, good evening. How are you?
Hi, Dom.
Good evening. Yes, I'm good, thanks. How you doing?
Very, very good. I'm assuming it's now a very busy evening for you with all this news coming through.
Yes, a busy evening. This afternoon, Thomas Tuchel's been ringing round all the England players who were hopeful of a place in the squad. And one way or another, he's been delivering the news to them this afternoon. So, yes, it's all been, as you say, we might not have many surprises left by tomorrow morning.
Yes.
I'm just trying to think of a way round all this leaking out before you actually name the squad. You know, whether he could come out and say, I will be speaking to the players that I've left out after I've named the squad, for the obvious reasons that the squad gets leaked before I want it to come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it's difficult, isn't it?
But I suppose out of respect, he then wants to speak to them before the squad is announced. I mean,
there would be a really interesting thing if they did the whole Brazil thing, like Carlo Ancelotti
Dom,
was
I would
doing.
love that.
What did he do?
Wouldn't that be good?
They announced it live on TV. That's how they find out.
Well, yeah.
So
when obviously Igor Thiago, with my bias, when he found out, one, that he was called up the first time, and then when he gets in the squad, it's just beautiful scenes of him with his family, just celebrating something that's just so amazing. But you know, for whatever reason, we don't do that. But let's start at the beginning, shall we? Because it all centred on, first of all, that Harry Maguire was not going to be called up by Thomas Tuchel. Does that surprise you, Dom?
It doesn't surprise me hugely, but I think it's a bit of a shame, really. I mean, he's England's all-time leading goal scorer in terms of a defender. We know his tournament history. He's been to many tournaments under Gareth Southgate. He's scored goals in tournaments. And he's had a really good season for Man United and forced his way back into the England team last time out in March. But I guess ultimately, you know, Thomas Tuchel has decided that he's got better options elsewhere. I think that, you know, the statement that Harry Maguire gave, it clearly he was shocked by it and very, very sad. He felt that he had a part to play this summer. But it's not to be for him. And you wonder now, given his age, will he ever make it back to play for England in a tournament again? I'm not so sure. I think it might have been this summer or nothing really.
I mean, he's just one of those players that you feel has always done brilliantly when it comes to England. He's just been a great servant. You would say.
He's experienced, and it won't faze him playing in the big games.
No.
So it's a bit of a shock, and I think Luke Shaw done enough.
Yeah, well, that's the other issue, the left-back scenario, Dom, because we're still none the wiser as to what's going on there. But suggestions are there's no Luke Shaw. We've even heard there's potentially no Lewis Hall either, which means it's Nico O'Reilly and one other, but we're sort of struggling to think of that other.
Yeah, I think it'd be very surprising if Nico O'Reilly is not in the squad. I think he will. And I think he'll probably be the first choice left back. I'm really surprised, not so much about the Luke Shaw one, but I'm surprised that Lewis Hall of Newcastle isn't in. I mean, he is a really traditional, wide left back who's defensively good. I think he's exactly the sort of player that you'd want at fullback in a major tournament, even though he's not been to one before. So I think that he would probably have been pretty good, on the left of a back four for England this summer. And I'm happy to admit that I would probably have started him, even though Nico O'Reilly is obviously the better player and has probably had a slightly better season. I think maybe Hall would have been a more natural fit, but not to be. For whatever reason, Tuchel's gone elsewhere. And I guess we now wait to see who the second choice left back would be. I think it's probably now between Miles Lewis-Skelly, who's just come back into match minutes with Arsenal at just the right time, or Jed Spence, who, of course, is an option on the right as well as the left for Tottenham. Hasn't had a particularly good season, but he has played a lot of football. So, a lot of the calls that Thomas Tuchel has made that we're hearing about as they break this evening are very, very interesting selection decisions that he's made.
Joe, I have done the job, and I was assistant manager for 3 years with Wales with John Toshak as the manager, and you do get a sense in training that some players can't accept not starting.
Right.
And when you're away for a month, you've got to take that into account. Like
you have to have good travellers.
I'm not having 6 or 7 of them walking around with their face on the floor.
Yeah.
And ruin it for everybody else. So maybe that's what he's done with Harry Maguire. Maybe he thinks, if I take him...
I can't imagine it would be... I think even Harry Maguire himself was quite accepting that he wouldn't be a starter.
He seems to me like he's got a great attitude, Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't think that about him, but I don't know the others, really.
Well, just to come back onto what you were saying then, when picking a squad, how much does versatility come into play? The fact that, Dom just alerted us or reminded us that Jed Spence can play both left and right back. Is that a major factor?
Well, when you're Scotland, Ireland or Wales, then you haven't got that many players. So you do have to take that into consideration. You can play left side centre-half or you can play left back. But when you're England and you've got probably 5
more specialists,
Premier League players in every position, you can take specialists, can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, Dan Burn can play left back or centre back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I also was thinking in my mind as well, why I like Lewis Hall is if you're picking Anthony Gordon, they've already got a relationship. Does that come into it as well?
Yeah, how they combine and they have an understanding where, one goes inside, one goes outside, and they know what they're doing. They know when they're overlapping. He knows Anthony Gordon where he is. That does come into it, but hey, I know how difficult the job is as a manager.
Yeah.
And there's different things that come into your head that is not obvious for the supporters to realise.
Yeah. Dom, there are so many other issues, of course, to talk about. The situation of a number 10, it now seems as though there's no place for Phil Foden, no place for Cole Palmer. There's a suggestion there's no seat on the plane either for Morgan Gibbs-White, which means we're kind of running out of options because we expected at least one of those 3 to be on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the writers from various newspapers have been doing their predicted, squads and what they'd like to see. And I have to admit, I would have left, and I wrote this, yesterday, I would have left Cole Palmer and Phil Foden out, which is a shocking thing to say. And last summer, you wouldn't have given that any thought at all. But I just don't think that what Cole Palmer delivered off the bench in Euro 2024 for Gareth Southgate's England, I don't really trust that he would be able to do that this summer in 30-degree heat in the USA. Like, I would love to see that happen. He's clearly one of England's most richly talented number 10s, potentially the most. but he's been injury ravaged this season for Chelsea. He's been in and out of form. He's not scored that many goals or produced that many assists from open play. And similarly, Phil Foden has just really not had a good second half of the season with Manchester City. He's dropped out of the team. And I think that the options in that position, the number 10 position, are so plentiful and so good that Thomas Tuchel, I guess, can't afford to take players that aren't in peak form. That's why I am actually so surprised that Morgan Gibbs-White, it sounds like, won't be in the squad, because he's finished the season so well with Nottingham Forest. He's been absolutely brilliant. And he's also a leader. I remember when he came through at Wolves and he was, just a young kid who there was so much promise about. But, he's the captain now of Nottingham Forest. He's really led them through their European campaign and led them to Premier League safety. So I'm quite surprised that Gibbs-White isn't on the plane. It is surprising that there would be no Gibbs-White, Foden or Palmer. You'd have expected one of those to be in. But
I'd be thinking, who's going to supply Harry Kane? Who's going to create the chances? Who's going to roll that through ball? Because Harry Kane's speed of thought is better than everybody else's. He needs someone who's going to lay the ball in for him, whether it's down the sides of the centre-backs or...
as Dom's pointed out, there are still good options, and you'd start with Jude Bellingham, I would have thought.
That's a dilemma. Morgan Rogers or Bellingham.
Well, this is
one bang-on form.
Yeah.
That's a dilemma. It's a nice problem.
Right. I suppose the other situation that has surprised everybody is the news that potentially Ivan Toney is in, a player that it looked as though his England future was ended last year, really. Yet it seems now he is back in Thomas Tuchel's good books.
Yeah, well, there was reporting earlier this month that Thomas Tuchel had made a little bit of a sort of changed his mind a little bit on Ivan Toney. And I think you can certainly, whether you agree with that decision ultimately, that it seems like he'll actually go, as one of Harry Kane's understudies, potentially as the only one, but certainly, if not, then as one of two. Whether you agree with that one way or the other is neither here nor there. It's undeniable that his goal-scoring form, in Saudi Arabia for Al Ahly has been outstanding. But then you have to question the quality necessarily of that league. And is it, is that football of the highest level? I think some people would very much argue it's not. And that may be why his international career had looked like it had ended. He's only played 4 minutes of football under Thomas Tuchel during Tuchel's time in charge. So it is fascinating that he's, not only forced his way back in, but to do it at this, this timing would be incredible, to come straight back in for the World Cup squad proper. But, a penalty specialist. He did well off the bench at Euro 2024 when Gareth Southgate called on him. That was his first tournament, I believe. So he has got precedent for being used in that way. And I wonder whether Thomas Tuchel sort of sees him as that sort of clever option to come off the bench late on in games, and with the penalty prowess that he's got as well.
Dom, it's going to be a busy evening for you. Appreciate you sparing the time to chat to us about the England squad. Thank you.
Thanks, Dom.
No problem. Pleasure. Thanks.
And remember, we'll bring it to you first from 9:45 tomorrow morning. Adrian Durham, Stuart Pearce bringing you the TalkSport Breakfast Show, part of our England team, of course, out at this summer's World Cup, and all the build-up, plus the squad announcement as well. That's TalkSport Breakfast tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. We will continue to talk about the England situation, of course. Get your thoughts on it as well. Plenty of you have been getting in touch already this evening. And we here at TalkSport have announced our star-studded lineup for this tournament coming your way this summer. We'll bring you every game in North America live. One of our team will join us to discuss their role and look ahead to the tournament next. You're tuning in to Kick Off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org.
I mean, he's been given 7 years. And of course, during that 7 years, what he's done is incremental progress. There's a little bit of flatlining. I mean, I wrote an article in 2023 saying that they had to spend £250 million to stand still after that first season where they finished second and they blew it themselves. And they did spend £250 million to stand still because they finished second each season. But you've seen the evolution of his thinking. You've seen the evolution of the manner in which it interacts with the media. You've seen the style of play change. Yeah. You've also seen them become more competitive in Europe at the same time. Because people turn around and say you can't have both. If you're going to do well in the league, you might find yourself being compromised in the Champions League. But they've gone deeper in the Champions League than perhaps some of their predecessors, notably Arsene Wenger, did for significant periods of his time during his tenure. So he's won on most fronts. So you have to give him all of the plaudits that this achievement deserves, because the end has justified the means.
What was the defining moment, Danny? Did the signing of Declan Rice appear on that particular list, if you're looking at what really clinched it?
Well, he's been a big factor, but he's been there a little while where they haven't got over the line. So I actually thought this season, the defeat at Arsenal kind of Man City set them free a little bit, because then they became the chaser and it was a bit like, oh, nothing to lose, let's go. And they went again. Although they weren't brilliant, it still gave them a new focus and a new impetus.
Well, some thought they'd bottle it after that.
They did, because they've done it before. But I think Arteta deserves... When you look at the numbers, which I was looking at last night for the last 4 seasons, the 3 seconds and then the win, this is their most pragmatic season. They've been more... they've scored more goals in previous seasons. They've been more expansive, let's say, better to watch. And he made a conscious choice this season of becoming even more resilient and more difficult to play against.
Yeah.
And that is a brave decision, side, because if it didn't go well,
it can be castigated.
Yeah.
I mean, success in football has an irony, because it's often an orphan. It's attributed to one person, and failure has many fathers. In this instance, success has many fathers, because I think you can take it back to the decision to break up the dressing room, to get rid of Aubameyang, and to be supported in doing that, for Kroenke to have the penny drop and bring his son into it, so there's day-to-day interaction between the ownership model and the change of direction from being people that were prepared to invest very little to people that are prepared to give the first-team manager the tools to go up against the opposition. So I think all of these things on the way bring out this end results.
Good evening. This is Kickoff on TalkSport. It's the former Villa striker Dean Saunders who is with me, Natalie Sawyer. Today at TalkSport, we have unveiled our world-class lineup for the FIFA World Cup 2026, and it features not just one but 2 current Premier League managers. Everton's David Moyes and the Brighton boss, Fabian Hürzeler. They'll be joined by recently retired England defender Carl Walker, World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit, the former Netherlands striker and Gareth Southgate assistant coach with England Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, US goalkeeping legend Brad Friedel, and also huge football fan AJ Tracy. Dean Saunders is involved too now. Yeah?
I'm just looking at the screen. Alan McInally's on the screen now with an Aston Villa shirt on.
Oh, I was thinking he's not on there.
Yeah, how's he got involved? But it's just showing all the celebrations and the players getting off the plane.
That's to come with Aston Villa. But he is a club ambassador, so that's why he'll be enjoying those celebrations. It looks fantastic, certainly. Also part of our team as well, because as you can expect with any football tournament, there might be some controversial decisions. And so they're going to be closely scrutinised by the world-renowned refereeing expert, Christina Unkel. And she joins us now. How are you, Christina? Welcome to the team.
Hi, Christina.
Hi, cheers. Thank you all. I'm here in the States, checking out the weather for you all to make sure it's nice and humid for the World Cup.
But I need to know this, first of all. How hot do you think it's going to be? I'm going to be on the East Coast, Boston, New York, Miami, first of all.
Well, good. Well, go ahead and make sure we get an Aperol Spritz when you're here, because I will be in New York as well. But it will be hot. I'm obviously in Florida right now. It is, I'm trying to think Celsius for you all. It might be about 50, 60 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
So it's close to 100 degrees already. And we're still only a couple weeks away. So it will be a bit spicy.
I'm going to have to bring so many different portable fans just to cool me down, that's for sure.
Christina, can I ask you, before the World Cup starts, is there anything different with the laws of the game that we can expect when the games kick off?
Yeah, there's multiple. But some of the ones I'm going to address just out of the gate are the ones that are going to directly be seen by the fans from the biggest impact. I'll lean into the VAR ones. There are VAR technologies that are implemented. We've seen them in the men's Euros, semi-automated offside technology to kind of help accelerate VARs to get to the answer to hopefully eliminate as much time that is being currently used in our league play. But the one that you guys are going to see, and it'll be interesting to see how many of these, is the overturn of an incorrect second yellow card that dismisses a player. So those are able to be reviewed in this World Cup that have not yet been done in competition. So that second yellow card being able to be reviewed, and just a correction, is it is a yellow card that is given, that's the incorrect, a clear and obvious incorrect decision for a second yellow card, that can be overseen. Now, if there should have been a second yellow card given, that is not going to be reviewed by VAR. So that is one of those that have really impacted and changed whether or not a team is impacted from a missed second yellow card or an incorrect second yellow card. And then the other one's kind of just keeping with the theme of the weather. You're going to see what I'm now joking as quarters, right? We're going to be playing quarters instead of halves due to the cooling breaks that you'll see implemented right out of the gate.
All right. What about the yellow card situation? How many yellows do you get before you get suspended? You can't play in the next game.
Yeah, no, great question. So I apologize. I can't remember if it's exactly 3 cards, but I do know it is now resetting after group stages and then after the quarterfinals. So previously, before, you only had 1 reset, just because of the expansion and the growth of the game now, how many games that we are playing in the World Cup. You're going to have less likelihood of a player who's going to be sitting out due to yellow card accumulation. But it is now happening at 2 different stages, group stages and after quarterfinals.
Okay, that's good to hear as well then. I mean, I know there's not loads of new laws necessarily being brought in, but crikey, are there going to be times, do you think, where VAR might be questioning, is this the one that we should be doing now? Is this the law that we should be implementing?
Yeah, no, not very much so, because the laws of the game themselves and the implication are going to be, for the most part, the same. Some of the other ones that you'll see is, speeding up the level of play. So, the goalkeeper holding onto the ball, you're going to see the demonstrative signals by the referee in the field for 8 seconds, the quick throw-ins. And if not, then they're going to be lost and sent to the other side. So at least from a VAR standpoint, hopefully we have less controversies because there's more technology, more cameras in the Men's World Cup than what we normally see. So probably more, you can see the referees are going to be a bit more, have been empowered to be able to enforce ensuring that we do not have the dark arts when it comes to wasting time. And also, the conversations where players in controversial situations are covering their mouths and talking. Now that's been empowered for the referees to be able to enforce dismissals, even if they have not heard any kind of derogatory terms. And also just ensuring that we only have one captain speaking to the official instead of mass confrontations.
What you just said there about the covering of the mouths, and I totally understand where this new punishment has come from. But do you think there'll be some referees that will find it difficult to give a red card for something they might not have heard? It might be something innocent that player's forgotten that they shouldn't be putting there. It brings its own conundrums with it, really.
Oh, you hit that on the head. One of the things that we're getting and I've heard is being, brought down is in the application of this new law is not just necessarily, bend it, but to use context and to appreciate it, right? You have many players who cover their mouths just to talk to each other in friendly terms because they do not need people to be trying to transcribe what they're saying. So it's going to be a learning curve for the players as well, but also for the referees to kind of balance out, when do we give that red card, right? And what situations are we giving? And that's where they're kind of saying, put some common sense and some logic. It's, really would be only in situations where you would find yourselves in, 2-3 players going at it and people covering their mouths. Those are the ones that are going to be easy to defend versus one that, it's one player kind of in a random situation. Let's not enforce something that logically people wouldn't sit there and be able to justify you now enforcing this new law.
And just lastly, Christina, then how are we going to hear you on TalkSport? What are you going to be doing? What are you going to be doing? What are you going to do for us?
Hopefully the beauty is be able to come in at times, right, when we have these big controversial decisions. It is the World Cup. It is referees, and it's called job security. There'll always be something to talk about. So hopefully on the airs live and being able to engage with the TalkSport talent. It's been a good group, and I'm blessed to be able to work with you all, too, in one of the biggest tournaments on the stage.
I've got a job for you. Right before the tournament kicks off, explain to us all what handball is. Because none of us know.
Christina, we don't have time. We do not have time for that. You've got a busy day ahead
We'll do it over drinks.
Over drinks. Oh, I look forward to that Aperol Spritz with you. Christina, thank you.
Cheers.
Look forward to seeing you in the summer. That's
Of
Christina
course.
Uncle, then, who's going to be part of our team, bringing you the World Cup. And our coverage begins on June the 11th with full coverage of the opening game. That is Mexico versus South Africa from 8 p.m. And we will have all 104 games live for you across the 39 days of the tournament. In the next hour, we will be celebrating Villa's Europa League victory. Why not give us a call, Villa fans? I'm sure you're still on a high. Maybe you're, just getting back from the parade. 03717 22 33 44.
He's going to make the change.
Oh my God, Mwani's one of the worst players I've ever seen. He's just give the ball straight to Cole Palmer. He's give the ball straight to Cole Palmer. We're going to go 2-0 down. I'm telling you, we're going to go 2-0 down. I told you! I told you! I told you! I told you! I told you!
I'm the Chills! I'm the Chills!
You can see it!
Chills! Can you believe it?
You can see it happening! You can see it happening!
I'm the Chills! I'm the Chills! I'm the Supers! I'm the Chills! 2-0 Super Blues!
It's a joke!
Get in! Get in!
It's a joke! You can see it a mile off! You could see it a mile off!
Get in!
I could say you! I told you we'd go 2-0 down! I told you we would make a mistake! Mwani, get out of our club! Mwani, get out of our club!
I'm the Chills! I'm the Chills! 2-0! Ball's given away! Cole Palmer! Who give that? Was it Mwani? Ball goes out
Mwani's
the right
giving
side.
straight to Cole Palmer!
Ball comes in.
Honestly! This team is absolutely garbage! This team is so bad! This team is so bad! It's unbelievable! It is so bad! I said to you, as soon as them subs, I said to you, Jace, as soon as them subs started to get their shirts off, I said we'll go 2-0 down. Pointless! De Zerbi, you should have made the change 10 minutes ago! Mwani's one of the worst footballers I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt. Get him out of our club! Honest to God! Look, they're standing on the side of the pitch waiting to come on. I said it. We'll go 2-0 down. What happens? 2-0. We are a disgrace. We're a disgrace of a football club. We deserve to be in the Championship. Honestly, mate. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this in my life. This team is absolute guff. Guff. They are guff all over the park. Guff. It is disgusting how bad this team is. It's disgusting.
Up Chelsea.
I cannot believe this team I'm watching. I cannot believe this team. How do I support this team? They are terrible.
Middlesbrough's manager says the last few weeks have left him feeling rather tired. Kim Hellberg has spoken publicly for the first time since the EFL sent Borough through to the Championship playoff final. Hellberg has been asked if he feels vindicated over Southampton's punishment.
Punishment for me is not to decide, and I was never talking about punishment when I talked about it either. I talked about my emotions. That's football, that's emotions, and that's what I tried to be since I arrived.
But how would the public react if Borough win? Live on TalkSport this weekend, football legal expert Stefan Borsan has given his verdict.
They've been fortunate that they happened to play Southampton, who happened to spy on them, that then happened to be expelled. They've benefited from that. They now need to go and win the game, and I think we'll forget about it in due course.
Well, if Hull City do indeed lose the final, their owner has suggested he'll review his legal options. Hull's manager Sergei Yerkerovich insists his side was always going to be ready for Saturday, regardless of the opponent.
We know everything about them, they know everything about us, so we will see now Saturday. Our main focus is this final game, so no matter who will be our opponent, our focus and concentration is on our team, what we can do there, how we can use our advantages.
Meanwhile, could Southampton boss Tonda Eka be sacked tonight? Well, he met the players at the Saints training ground earlier. We understand owner Dragan Solak is furious as the FA opens its own investigation into the individuals around Spygate. Elsewhere, TalkSport understands Dean Henderson, Mark Gahey, Anthony Gordon and Lewis Hall have all made the England squad for the World Cup. Henderson will arrive late to the camp because of the Conference League final. Thomas Tuchel is also reportedly strongly considering calling up Levi Colwill. Meanwhile, following Villa's demolition of Freiburg last night, Gabby Agbonlahor says Morgan Rogers is a certainty for England's starting 11 this summer.
I think he's going to be one of our key players for the tournament, and the Thomas Tuchel loves him.
And Mikel Arteta says Jurrien Timber could be fit for the Champions League final. Plenty more, as always, at TalkSport.com.
This is Kickoff on TalkSport. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and alongside me is the former Villa, Liverpool, Oxford and Derby striker Dean Saunders. In this hour, we'll discuss Villa's Europa League success and hear from fans from today's trophy parade. We'll discuss even Spygate and ask what Southampton do next following their expulsion from the playoffs. Plus, we'll look ahead to the final day of the Premier League as well as the Championship playoff final. We'll ask what's next for Arsenal following their title win, and can they secure a historic double by winning their first ever Champions League? You can get your calls into us 03717 223344. Why not join us this Thursday night on Kickoff? Right, so much still to get through, and I'm sure news will continue to filter through on the England squad announcement that is happening tomorrow morning, which will bring you live on TalkSport. But you heard there in the news headlines some of the big calls already made. The omission of Harry Maguire, Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Morgan Gibbs-White, Lewis Hall, Luke Shaw. Some of the big names that are set to miss out. Ivan Toney, though, back in the fold, it seems. More on that to come. Well, it's just been a glorious, glorious day today, no doubt, after the night before when Aston Villa secured their first European trophy in 44 years last night in Istanbul.
One of the biggest nights in Aston Villa's proud history.
Of course, my dream when I arrived here was play Europe, play for trophies.
White-footed ball flicked across the edge of the penalty area. Tielemans! What a goal!
Huge goal on the night that is for Villa.
This group of players now, Champions League football next season. This manager, he won't just be happy with one trophy.
Tielemans, McGinn, Buendia! Oh, Starling grading their name on the trophy now.
The campaign we did this season in Europa League, it was fantastic.
What a time to get that second one as well. Stunning end to the half from Villa.
And achieving this one is something make us so happy, so proud of everything we are working.
You know, there's Villa fans here tonight, Jim, that have never seen their team win a trophy. Well, that all changes right now.
Buendia, left-hand side of the penalty area. Low ball in. There's number 3. Morgan Rogers.
What a performance. What a manager. What a support.
John McGinn has taken the cup and lifted it into the Turkish night. And the name on the trophy is Aston Villa.
Yeah, a tremendous night then for the villains, and the celebrations are continuing. Of course they are, after an incredible night in Istanbul. There were goals from Tielemans, Buendia and Rodgers that saw Unai Emery's side claim an emphatic 3-0 win, it really was, to secure the manager's 5th Europa League title. So by winning the Europa League, Villa have secured Champions League football for next season. They had already guaranteed that, by the way, by the fact that they will finish in the top 5. Is that right? Well, they had guaranteed, hadn't they? Champions League football through the Premier League too. I mean, I think it's quite a quirk of fate as well that all the teams that Unai Emery has won the Europa League with have Villa in their name.
Yeah.
Villarreal, Sevilla, and now Aston Villa.
I've seen that, yeah. And there was another unbelievable stat last night that since Unai Emery's been in charge of Aston Villa, they've spent double that Freiburg's history have ever spent on players.
Right, okay.
That was an unbelievable stat as well.
Yeah.
But they were favourites at the start.
They were.
And it was proven to be correct. And last night, the execution of the goals they scored, Tielemans' volley from a well-worked corner.
Yeah.
From Freiburg's point of view, horrendous goal to concede. A volley straight from a corner in the box, just past the penalty spot. Great volley from Tielemans, though. He executed it, let it drop, kept his head still, his laces straight through it, kept it down. And then Buendia's goal, which, again, from Freiburg's point of view, a gap. You could have drove the QE2 through the gap between the left side centre-half and left back, appeared. Buendia seen the gap, went into it. They've let him turn back on his left foot, obviously not watched him play. And his execution of outside the post, bending it in the top corner, outstanding. And then the last goal, from Freiburg's point of view, Villa have played right through him from back to front. Out of shape completely. But the execution again, Morgan Rodgers getting across the near post.
That was great.
Great ball in from Buendia again. He's got an assist and a goal. And they could have had more. I was a bit gutted Ollie Watkins never scored because he's on fire.
Yes, yeah.
But it was just, do you know what? I can't remember. I would say probably in my career managing 15, 16 years where you sat there 3-0 up and you know you've won. It happens. I reckon it's happened once or twice to me in my career where you sat there and you 3-0 up. Normally, you go in grey as the game's going on because you never relax. You think, you can throw the game away. But the fans, it means so much to the fans. 40-odd years since they won a European trophy. And, do you know, I'll tell you how much it means to them. It brought back memories to me. We beat Man United in the League Cup in 1992 at Wembley, and we were walking around the pitch with the cup, and all the fans were there like they were last night, thousands of them. And this lad was shouting something to me through the fence, pointing at the floor. And I looked at my boots. I'm thinking, does he want my boots? Or what? He's asking me. And I thought it was my shin pads. And it was a divot that had come up. A big divot. A slide tackle divot, right? That was on the floor.
A bit of
turf.
turf.
I picked the turf up and I threw it over the fence to him, right? Honestly, this is true. 2 or 3 weeks later, he'd put the turf in his garden. So he'd cut a bit of grass out, put the turf for Wembley in there, and he got Subbuteo players and goals.
Stop.
Yeah, and he got Man United players and Villa players. And then he sent me a picture of it saying, "This is my Wembley."
I wonder how that has weathered so many years on.
But what a turnout. And John McGinn, captain, outstanding. Watkins from the front. If you centre forwards closing down and chasing lost causes like him, the whole team join in.
Well, listen, you've been saying about how the fans will feel. Let's speak to one.
Yeah.
Because Howard Hodgson, long-time Aston Villa fan and podcaster, joins us. How are you, Howard? How are you still feeling?
Evening, Howard.
Hiya, Dino. Hiya, Natalie. Oh, I'm absolutely elated still. I'm still pinching myself. It's been brilliant since Unai came, but this is really the icing on the cake. To get that trophy after so long. Since Dino was wearing our kit. And I remember those 90s years so fondly. And there's so many, fans that haven't seen Villa win anything. including my kids. I've got an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old, and it's been mostly miserable for them until Emery arrived. And, they were all so elated, and there's just thousands and thousands of Villa fans that just have a wonderful feeling today, a wonderful glow.
Did you notice at the end? I did, and I was proud of the players, the way they treated Unai Emery, the players. Even the ones who weren't playing, he'd left out, were all pleased for him and pushing him through. They made a bit of a little tunnel for him to walk through. The goalkeeper picks him up. And it made me think, that's respect for your manager. You don't have to like him. You just got to respect him. And then when I see what's going on at Liverpool, that's the opposite.
Yeah.
So I was proud of the players last night. I thought they took the victory with a bit of class.
No, I agree, and they do love him, and I think they all respect him hugely, and they recognise how much he has done for them, because a lot of these are the same players, Dino, that were there before he arrived. And
there were 7 started apparently. 7 players who started were there when he got there the first day.
Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of them were signed by Dean Smith even before Steven Gerrard, so there's a lot of players that have been there a long time, and Emery has just taken them to a whole new level that they probably didn't even know they could achieve. And they recognise it, there's not a lot of egos at Villa, and I think that's why they listen to his long, drawn-out, structured video sessions, and they don't complain like maybe he had at Paris Saint-Germain or even at Arsenal. He has a group of players that adore him, and he gets the best out of them. And he's just been the best thing for this club. And we've been great for him too. It's a great marriage, isn't it?
Oh, it's been a terrific fit. And you're absolutely right. I mean, just talking about the progress, but because before Unai Emery was at Aston Villa, you look at the seasons before, the highest you'd finished was 11th. And then he comes in, rescues you from that relegation plight that you were in under Steven Gerrard. Finished 7th that season, then it's 4th, then it's 6th. You're guaranteed Champions League football again this season, or for next season too. The question, I suppose, is what's next? Where can Villa go next?
It's remarkable, Natalie. And when you highlight it like that, it has just been an upward curve all the way through. And now the challenge is, like you say, how can he top this? And it won't be easy because we do have spending constraints at Villa. I heard Dino saying about, our spend compared to Freiburg, which, is completely valid and relevant. But in the Premier League, we still, compared to the Chelseas and the Liverpools and the Uniteds and the Arsenals, we don't have the spending power. And it's nothing to do with our owners, who would be quite happy to match them. It's the rules. And, these spending rules, and it makes it tricky. And that, again, just highlights how brilliant a job he's done.
Do you not worry about, like it's without, throwing water on the fire at the minute, where, Villa are still celebrating. Next season, they're not going to have to sell Morgan Rogers or somebody like that, are they?
Well, I read today, it did pour a little bit of water on the fire, Dean, because, I read exactly that perhaps we probably will. I hope that's not right, now that we've got the Champions League income booked again. But I don't know. I mean, because he's played every single game. He's played like 55 games this season, that boy. He must be utterly exhausted. He's got a World Cup coming up as well. But having said that, he's young and he seems to be loving it. But Dina, can I just say to you, I never forget when you came to the Villa and you said something that always stayed with me. You said... because you come from Liverpool, you said, I've played, in fact, it was just after you left Villa, you went, I played for Liverpool and played for Villa. And I said, you know what, Villa's just as big, they just don't know it. And never forget those words. And you know what, you're so right, but the club is starting to feel like, it could actually, if it's allowed to, stay up here for a long time.
Do you know what, if I do any events for Villa events, there's double the amount of people coming than there used to be.
It's you.
Not because it's not. So the same person, right, me, but say there was like 50 in the room, there's 100 in the room now, 2 years on.
Right.
If there's 200 in the room, there's 400 now.
Yeah.
Everything to do with Villa at the minute. It's like Villa fever.
It's of course, everything's on a high, and it should be. And talking of a high, when you look at the potential Villa players to get into the England squad, we all expect Morgan Rogers to be there, Ezri Konsa likewise. And there is a suggestion that Ollie Watkins is in there too, as well, Howard, after being not selected last time around.
Do you know what? He did us a favour, Tuchel, when he did that, because Ollie was going through a bad spell. And it seemed to give him the kick that he needed, because ever since he was left out of that one England squad, he's been on an amazing run. And I think he's an absolute shoo-in now, because I think he's definitely Kane's understudy. So, he's finished the season strong. He's in form. He's confident. He scored that great goal at the last big tournament in the Euros. So I think he'll be there, definitely.
I'd like to know, what's the target? Well, you just mentioned it now. Where do they go from here?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know now, when this calms down and they go and sit down after the Liverpool game, and the owners go, right, what's the target next season, and how are we going to do it? Because if you're not going forward, you're standing still, and everybody else is going forward. So they're going to have to come up with some way of doing it.
Yeah.
But this financial fair play, if you've got to sell Morgan Rogers, Chelsea had to sell Gallagher. It's not working, is it?
No.
It's not working. It's rubbish.
No, of course not.
You've got to sell your best young players just to. It's not right.
No. But listen, revel in it still, Howard, because it's been a fantastic 24 hours for you. And as I say, there's plenty more celebrations to be had this week. And then the season finishes with a trip to Manchester City, where you can just enjoy that one as Europa League winners. So thank you, Howard, for being with us.
Thanks, Howard. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa, mate. And well done to Brentford, Natalie, as well.
Ah, very kind, Howard. Thank you very much. Howard Hodgson there, the Aston Villa fan and podcaster, joining us. Up next, we're going to actually hear from some of the fans who have been at the trophy parade as well. That's been taking place in Birmingham today. This is Kickoff on TalkSport.
Can you hear me? The Europa League champions, do me a favour. Jude Law, Chinky. Can you hear me, Chinky? You almost took one hell of a beating. Can you hear me, Roberto Dispersi? You almost took one hell of a beating. Roberto Dispersi. You almost took one hell of a big cockerel. Ron Weasley, Beavertown Brewery. Can you hear me, Jamie O'Hara? Can you hear me, Jamie O'Hara? You almost took one hell of a beating. Can you hear me? Encourage inside. Can you hear me? Encourage inside. Can you hear me? Encourage inside. You almost took one hell of a beating. The SA side. Look at the ball. Give white side. Adele, Lord Sugar, Tadarius the Pooh. Can you hear me, Tadarius the Pooh? You almost took one hell of a beating. Tadarius the Pooh. Tadarius the Pooh. Tadarius the Pooh. Can you hear me, Tadarius the Pooh? You almost took one hell of a beating.
I can't believe you just pulled out them two masks. I cannot believe what I've just seen. And we get beat 2-1 at the bridge again, mate.
O'Hara.
Oh, mate.
O'Hara's got an imps mask. He's got his,
I can't believe you've got an O'Hara mask. Where have you're sneaky, you lot. Yous are so bad. Honestly, yous are horrible. I don't know why I work here. This is unbelievable stuff. All the stuff I do for this station, and that's how I get treated.
What do you mean?
You go and order an O'Hara mask and wear it on the night that Spurs get beat against Chelsea.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
I don't know what you're talking
mate,
about.
Take the mask off. Please, take the mask off, mate. I can't.
Is it Jay?
Oh,
Jay.
what a bad night, mate. What
Mate, listen, you drew the second half, mate.
Oh, mate, don't start.
Don't start.
I knew it was going to be bad.
Listen, I don't know why you fall out at me over this. You drew the second half. And to be fair, I like the way that you kept booting the ball out of play just to keep the score down, because goal difference might come into it, mate. You never know.
Good evening, this is Kickoff on TalkSport. A pleasure to have your company, and you are listening in to the Wales legend, Dean the Storyteller Saunders. Is it a hat-trick? Is it a hat-trick of darts wins?
I'm on a hat-trick, yeah.
Wow.
What, you were the Slayer, weren't you? What was your nickname? Natalie the Slayer.
Destroyer Sawyer.
What, Destroyer Sawyer?
I can't even remember it. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, but what a victory.
Yeah, that was
you
last.
beat Darren Bent.
Yeah, but that was the year before. Excuse me, year before, and then he got his revenge.
But be honest, in your sporting career, in your whole career, since you were a baby,
it's been long.
Is the Darren Bent victory at the
pinnacle.
darts
Absolute pinnacle.
the height of your sport?
At home, I've got a massive trophy just for it. Yeah,
It's on camera. It's on film.
and it's forever to be remembered.
So when
put me
your
in
son
place.
has children, you'll be able to show your grandkids. I beat Darren Bent, who had his own coach, and he's got his own darts.
That was the best of it. The fact that he was so focused on it for weeks and weeks. I just rock up.
You didn't
and
have
just-
any lessons, did you?
Only on the day. Only on the day.
From Tom Clayton.
Tom Clayton, he's a darts phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has about something like he'll probably get. I'm probably nowhere near the number. 20 odd sets of darts. Sets.
I'm going to move on.
I don't even own one.
I'm going to move on to the snooker next.
Oh, okay.
I might retire from darts.
Then you
and
have to take on
up
Andy
the TalkSport.
Goldstein then.
Well, I played golf with Mark Williams yesterday.
Oh, lovely.
Celtic Manor. Mark Williams, a
Yes,
three-time world champion.
How lovely.
So he said he'll coach me.
Oh, well, that's not fair. You'll be a ringer basically.
Well,
You're being coached by a pro.
it's not what you know, it's who you know.
That is so true. That is life in general, is it not? Look, there's plenty more coming out of Aston Villa today because they've been having their trophy parade. This in the city of the centre of Birmingham. Our reporter Tyler Morris has been catching up with some of the fans who are there.
Oh, it's an unbelievable feeling, to think where we were 7 years ago, coming up from the Championship, and what Emery's done, what Dean Smith has done. I think many people don't sort of see what Dean Smith did as well, but it's a great feeling to be here. I think the success we've achieved, the owners, the backing they've given, the players, they gave 100%. Really proud to be a Villa fan today.
And how excited are you to celebrate with those players?
Yeah, I think there's been nothing like this before. It's actually going to feel more real, seeing that trophy and, seeing the players. I think it's a monumental day for Aston Villa Football Club. This is just a start, as you saw yesterday. Unai Emery's a winner, and these players are behind a winner really. So we can only go upwards and onwards. Champions League as well, qualification over the line. So we've got really big things coming for this football club, and this is just the foundation of it really.
Just the start then, many of those Villa fans saying there. Give us the sense of what you think Villa could go on to do. And I know you've mentioned PSR. That, of course, is the huge factor in all of this. But, the size of the club, the fact that it has been sort of lying there dormant, essentially, for so long, having not won a trophy. What do you think a trophy like this can do for them?
Don't forget, I know it's a swear word in Birmingham, but Birmingham City.
Oh, right, okay.
Birmingham City are a massive club as well. They're coming.
Of course.
They're coming with a late run. They'll arrive. In the Champions League.
In the Champions League?
In the next 5 years.
We have to get into the Premier League first, no?
Money talks.
Okay, but
they'll get in.
Okay, all right. I think jumped
but-
the gun slightly, but I'm not disputing it. But that's quite a.
So and it's a game that
bold
they need in
claim.
Birmingham. Two big clubs, but Villa's getting bigger and bigger, collecting more and more Villa fans. Kids all want to be Villa fans, and they've got a really good team at the moment. And then when you look and you sit down and you go, right, what can we achieve here? So the goalkeeper's good enough, isn't he? Martinez.
Absolutely.
Then you got Conser and Torres, two centre backs, and so you'll need four really good ones for the Champions League next year. The full backs, Dina and Matty Cash. They've got 2 or 3 decent players who've had injuries who they can put in there. Then you look in midfield. Watkins is good enough. They probably need you got Tammy Abraham there. You probably need another striker. They probably need another centre midfield player. And you'll be going like, well, where are we going shopping then? Are we shopping in Morrison's, no disrespect, or are we shopping in Waitrose? Are we competing with the salaries of the big clubs? Because you won't get them unless you pay the wages. You won't, unless you're getting players on loan out of PSG and teams like that, Bayern Munich. You've got to pay the wages or they won't come. But it does help. You're in the Champions League. You've just won a cup. So if you go to a centre forward now who's, say, for example, it was Dembele.
Okay.
right? And you try and persuade Dembele to leave PSG to come to Aston Villa.
Right.
He'd probably say no right now, wouldn't he?
I would have thought so.
Liverpool would have a chance, Man City would have a chance, and Arsenal would have a chance probably, wouldn't they? So there's the next step for Villa.
But is that then the only way they can get to that next step is to consistently finish, let's say, top 4 minimum, because who knows next season, the coefficients and all of that, when it comes down to potentially 5 teams in the Champions, it might not happen next season, depending on how teams do, but the Premier League obviously tends to do all right. That would have to be the minimum then for Villa, because to compete in and Ousmane Dembele isn't going to want to come if they're playing in the Europa League, say, in a season two times or whatever it is.
No, if you keep getting in that Champions League and you become one of the clubs that get in there.
Yeah.
So they'll have to do it every year. But with the spending rules, and last year they had to sell Douglas Luiz, who was probably the best midfield player at the time, just to balance the books. And it looks like they're going to have to do it again.
That is the concern, isn't it?
And the manager might not stay. When he weighs it all up.
Yeah, I don't feel that with Emery. Where would he go for the first question? Because everything seems to be filled now.
Well, I'm trying to put a price on you being in control as a manager, because I've had it myself. Obviously you want to be in control who walks through the door and who goes out the door.
And he has that control.
He's got that at Villa, and he's been to Arsenal, he's been to PSG, where he probably never had that sort of. So he might like the job he's got. Hopefully, he likes the job at Villa. He's in control. They trust him to bring players in. He don't really need anyone above him.
No.
Recruitment.
Well, he is the manager.
He's the judge. Yeah, I can judge a player. He'll be saying.
Yeah.
I'll decide who comes in. It's a jigsaw puzzle for
But that's why I don't think he'd want to leave Aston Villa yet.
That is the main thing, I think. If he stays, it's because he's in control of Aston Villa.
And he enjoys it, and he loves it there.
And he's gained that power. Like Arteta, I think he's been at Arsenal long enough now to decide who comes into the club and who's going out of the club.
That's it.
Jurgen Klopp had it. So did Pep Guardiola. You earn that. Mourinho had it. You have to earn it. And I think he's done enough to say to the board of directors and all the staff that they employ, I know more about football than you. So I don't need to ask you what we're going to do next. I know more about football than all of you.
Yeah.
And I've proved it.
Well, it's been a fabulous week. It certainly has for Aston Villa, especially when you think back to the start of last season as well, because let's not forget, as we mentioned earlier, they'd already secured Champions League football after that win over Liverpool before this final. But when you go back to the start of the season, they couldn't win a game. What was it, 8 games or so?
Yeah.
Something like that, maybe not as much, but they couldn't win a game and they looked a little lost. I remember when my team played them very early on, they didn't look right at all. And maybe that was the hangover of missing out on Champions League qualification. But now they'll be thinking, we didn't need that, did we? Because look, we won a trophy. So
I think the players come off the hymn sheet, Nat. So Villa play a high line, and the plan is, when we win the ball back, we're compact. So the opposition will try and play through us. When they play a pass that doesn't exist and we intercept it, Ollie Watkins, first thought, you either slide it down the side, put it over the top, but your first thought is, can you feed Ollie Watkins? And I think they started passing it sideways a bit and thinking they would just keep the ball.
Yeah.
And they went back to being a bit more forward passing. John McGinn makes a difference, Every time he gets it, he passes the ball forward. Yeah. So that helps.
And they did have a lot of injuries throughout the season, in midfield in particular, with John McGinn missing a portion of it as well. I said 8 games. It wasn't 8 games. It was less than that, by the way. But we won't go into it. Right, lots more to come on the show. And if you're a Villa fan and you simply just can't get enough of that Europa League win last night, why not check out the latest TalkSport Daily? That's our podcast. There's Adrian Durham, Andy Townsend, Gabby Ogbonlahor dissect an unforgettable night for Villa, reflecting on a remarkable performance and what it can mean for the club's future. They ask whether this marks the start of a new era under Emery too, whilst paying tribute to the manager after his 5th Europa League triumph. It's brilliant. That is the TalkSport Daily, available on all podcast platforms right now. Okay, on the way next, we're going to get stuck into Spygate, because the written reasons have now been published as to why Southampton have been expelled for the playoffs. What does it mean for the club, and what does it mean for the manager? That's next. You're listening to Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
I met Arteta for the first time in October in a restaurant randomly. And I said to him, we're going to win the league because you've got the squad now that you've wanted. It's your vision. These are your guys. They play with your values. And I am certain we're going to win the league. And, this is all on Mikel Arteta. I absolutely take my hat off to this guy. He has worked his process, worked his project to now the ultimate fruition. And I think he's been absolutely brilliant. And I was one of the doubters early on. First 2 seasons, we lost 13 league games each season. I was one of those thinking he's too young, it's too early for him, it's too big a job. And then I remember early 2023 doing a whole apology in the Sun to Mikel. And from that moment on, for the next 3.5 years, I've absolutely bought in to what he's doing because I could see what he was doing. And I just think Mikel Arteta, I want a statue, at least one statue of you, and I want a second statue of that idiotic Manchester City fan who did the bottle stunt because he must be feeling like the biggest mug in Britain right now.
Piers, I've got a question for you, mate. Fantastic Arsenal winning the...
Yeah, but what about a public apology? What about just apologising to me?
Well,
and
before we get, I want to come in here as...
What for?
I want to come in here as referee, if I may. As referee, Piers, I think it's only fair. I mean, 2 words I never thought I'd associate with Piers Morgan are humble and pie, right? But we've got that from you this morning with Mikel Arteta. So I think it's only fair I give the floor to my man on my left-hand side, Gabby.
Arsenal fans, everyone out there supports Arsenal. I apologise for mocking the season. Calling you bottlers. Great team, great fans, great football club. I apologise.
Brilliant. Well done. Piers, I want to ask you, mate, you
where's
touched
that
on it.
utterly useless half-wit Ahara who must be, how must he be feeling? Because I kept saying to you guys, I kept saying we were going to win the quadruple, and you didn't really understand what I meant. Arsenal to win the Premier League and Champions League, right? Cristiano Ronaldo to win the Saudi League, which he's about to do, and Tottenham get relegated. It is my dream quadruple.
Good evening. This is Kickoff on TalkSport with the former Wales striker Dean Saunders and me, Natalie Sawyer. Throughout today and no doubt maybe throughout this evening, the news from the England squad will continue to filter through as to who is in and who is out. This all ahead of tomorrow morning's announcement of when Thomas Tuchel will name his 26-man squad for this World Cup. Now, it's not confirmed, but TalkSport understands the England squad is likely to look like this when announced tomorrow. There'll be 3 goalkeepers of Pickford, Henderson and Trafford, a defensive with James, Livramento, O'Reilly, Byrne, Konza, Gahey, Stones, Kwanzaa and Rice. There's also in midfield choices of Anderson, Henderson, Kobbie Mainoo, Bellingham and Rodgers. And then you've got Eze, Saka, Madueke, Rashford, Gordon, Ivan Toney, Harry Kane and Ollie Watkins.
Oh, still a good squad, isn't it?
I mean, listen.
Have we tried picking another squad that's not got in? That'd be a good squad as well.
Oh, you could definitely name that as well.
Couldn't you?
Now, I only named 25 players there. That's because we're still unsure about the 26th, but potentially Miles Lewis-Skelly is what we understand could make up that 26-man squad.
Oh.
He's not played a lot of football, has he, this season? But
but do you know what?
Something?
Young lads like that in training, they make the training session work.
Mm-hmm.
Their enthusiasm for, closing down, and they speed the games up. So I can understand that one. He's probably not going to start a game.
Maybe not.
But important on the training pitch every day for keeping the tempo of training up.
Mm.
He'll be thinking about that as well.
I know we can link it to Wales, like you were saying, and of course, when you were part of John Toshak's coaching staff, you weren't blessed, obviously, with the squad depth that England have. But how much did a player's attitude, their personality, come into your thinking?
Well, after doing it for 3 years, I know this sounds simple, right? The job is picking the right team and tactics.
Mm.
Not so much man management.
Yeah.
Because you're not with them long enough. The problem you got is, like, I'll give you I know it's Wales, I'll give you an example. Joe Ledley played against somebody and he was like unbelievably good in this game. Man of the match. I can't remember the game. The next game was 3 months later and he got injured. After our game, he got injured and didn't play for 2 months. So when we got to the game, he's first name on the sheet, isn't he, Joe Ledley? So you got to watch him in training, and it's your experience. And I look, John Toshak's experience as a man, he looked at players in training to see if they were, I suppose, like looking at racehorses to decide if they're fit. Because you haven't seen them for 3 months and you just fingers crossed that they're fit. And he picked Joe in this game and he was like a different player. He weren't fit because he hadn't played any games.
Yeah.
So if you get that wrong, you don't get another bite of the cherry. You've got the team selection wrong. And then the rest of it was tactics. How are we going to set up against Germany?
Yeah.
How are we going to set up against Malta? And his experience, the manager's experience, decides that just on 4 days training. The man management thing, keep the players happy, as John said to me when we had a buffet. No wonder we never qualified. We had a buffet that was like the breakfast buffet in Las Vegas. You go, yeah, it had everything: Chinese, Indian, profiterole rolls. Honestly, I said to John once, John, this can't be right. There's like naan bread and chips.
Where were you for this?
Wales. We were in Wales.
In Wales?
Yeah. So we got two chefs.
This is for breakfast?
No, it was just for like every meal we had.
Oh, just for much choice.
It was like being in Las Vegas, right? So I was walking around. I said, John, this can't be right. Chips. And he said, and he just ignored. I just thought because he liked it. He had his plate was full, so he was eating it. And he just shake his head at me. And then they come in the next day and they had a chocolate fountain. You know when you put marshmallows under it?
I love a chocolate fountain. Oh, this is getting better and better.
So I've gone, hey, John, no, you're taking the mickey. He's taking the mickey now. He's got one of them chocolate fountains. We can't feed the players. Honestly, he said, Dean, you'll learn, son, you'll learn. He said, have you heard about people who come for eat? Food makes you happy.
Right.
He said, we can't get them fit in a week. We can't get them unfit in a week, but we can keep them happy. The food keeps them happy. They're in their rooms for 5 days. So food makes you happy.
Yeah.
So I thought he was wrong at the start. And then I went, all right.
I think sports science.
Fair enough. Sports science. When they got back to the clubs, what have you been doing? Yes. No, but...
put on a few pounds.
But like I said, it's tactics and team selection. Picking the team on the day where they're all fit and ready, raring for action.
Okay. Well, look, let's reiterate that England squad that we here at TalkSport understands is likely to look. It's Pickford, Henderson, Trafford as the goalkeepers. Then you have a defence of James, Livramento, O'Reilly, Byrne, Konza, Gahey, Stones, Kwanzaa and Rice. The midfield, with obviously attacking options, wingers are, I should say Rice in this one, Anderson, Henderson, Kobbie Mainoo, Bellingham, Rodgers, Eze, Saka, Madueke, Rashford and Gordon. And then there's three strikers that he has selected in Harry Kane, obviously, Ollie Watkins back in after missing out in the last squad, and Ivan Toney, who's not been involved for quite a while with England. That's what we believe. And also Miles Lewis-Skelly, we think, is also going to get the nod 2. We'd love to know what you make of that squad. Are you confident that that is the squad that can deliver a World Cup? 03717 223344. That's the number to WhatsApp us on. That's the number to call us on as well. Or you can text us to 81089. Let us know what you think of that. And is that a winning squad? This Saturday, it is glory time in Giza as former two-time undisputed heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk faces the Dutch kickboxing legend Rico Verhoeven with the WBC heavyweight title up for grabs, as well as Jack Catterall and Hamad Shiraz on the undercard. You can join DAZN Ultimate now and get Usyk versus Rico included at no extra cost. On the way next, we will talk Southampton too, but hopefully get some of your reaction to that potential England squad here on Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org.
Boxing update on TalkSport with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at DAZN.com/boxing.
I thought it was great at the end of the game, the way the players were with him.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Emi Martinez picked him up.
Because we saw a wee side to him that you don't see.
Yes.
We saw a different side to him.
What was funny, though, when Emi Martinez picks him up, on the clip behind, you can see the players are a bit like, Tyrone Mings, they're laughing like, oh, my God, how has he done that?
Yeah.
Because then they know that, like, the manager's not really like that. He doesn't like to be the centre of attention.
Yeah.
But it was incredible scenes, Ali, afterwards. So emotional for so many Villa fans. And we were lucky to be in the stadium.
Brilliant.
All the clips back home, Ali, like, so many places showed the game. Thousands of fans on the streets still now celebrating across the world. How many fans I spoke to last night that have come from Australia?
See,
They've got 4 flights to get here.
Same.
Some fans have not had a hotel room overnight. They've got the early flight this morning, so they just stayed up. Some fans have got to get back through Germany, through different parts of Europe to get home. But what that win means for every Aston Villa fan in the world, Ali, it's just unbelievable. I can't describe in words, and I hope we get some good callers on today. And they'll have their stories of what this means.
I'm
to
sure
them.
we will, Matt.
Yeah.
Okay, 6. We're the champions, of course, rang out at Besiktas Park as Aston Villa get their hands on that Europa League trophy. I wonder if you learnt the words by now, Gab. Here's your
mate, I know.
Well, listen, we're going to bring you back down here for a crashing bang, my friend. Here's your rendition of that classic last night in the stadium. Fantastic. Good on you. I was just...
Hilarious, mate.
I met all the Villa fans before the game, man, and they were brilliant, Gabby. Brilliant. Older gentlemen, young boys.
Ali, there's been no incidents.
Good evening. Welcome along to Kickoff on TalkSport. It is the former Oxford striker, Dean Saunders, who's alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. We're going to continue to talk about England a little bit later on after what we believe is the potential England squad that will be announced officially tomorrow. That'll be live on TalkSport in the morning from 9:45. Yes.
Forgot to tell you.
What?
I'm making a comeback at Oxford. End of the month.
Oh.
In a charity match.
Crikey.
Graham Souness's charity.
Good luck, defenders, eh? Taking on you.
Not at the Manor Ground where I played.
Yes.
The new stadium.
You're playing at the new one.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah.
Stadium. Nice.
Yeah, and if it goes well.
What, you're going to say you're available?
I might set my sights on the Euros for Wales.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We look forward to that.
I should last about 4 or 5 minutes. Do you know what? The problem
I'll
is
talk about
now.
this next story. Go on.
Your Achilles snapping or your thighs snapping. I can't face it. Calf snapping.
Yeah.
Can't play golf.
Yeah,
can't do anything.
Is that the main thing? You can't play golf.
Play golf. Yeah.
I love the priority.
Why? And then you walk off going, why did I play? But
you're doing it for charity.
It's for the charity, and the fans like seeing you in your kit again.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. You wouldn't believe it. Some fans shout on to me in a charity match, Saunders, you've lost your pace. I'm 61, mate.
Listen, the fact you're going to do it is the main thing. But we've got to move on because we're going to talk about Spygate. With Southampton's appeal from expulsion denied, this Saturday's playoff final will be contested by Middlesbrough and Hull. Kickoff will be at 3:30 at Wembley live on TalkSport, but the shockwaves continue in terms of the severity of the punishment. This is the latest as we know it, with the EFL having now published the written reasons into the Spygate ruling against Southampton, and that expulsion and 4-point deduction was unanimously agreed by the commission. Now, Southampton, as we know, admitted all the charges against them, hoping that cooperation would help their case. They unsuccessfully argued there was no sporting advantage to spying on 3 championship clubs. They tried to argue a £200,000 fine, as was given to Leeds, was sufficient. One of the most damning revelations is the EFL evidence that they were given, which was agreed with by the panel, that Spygate was authorised at senior level and the task was delegated to an intern. The written reasons conclude Saints had a determined plan from the top down to gain a competitive advantage in competitions of real significance by deliberate attendance at opposition training grounds for the purpose of obtaining tactical and selection information. They also alerted, or told us, I should say, that Tonda Eckert testified he did not find the information useful, but this only confirmed that he was directly involved. That's an interesting part of that,
right,
when we think about the future of him. The panel says it was deplorable to use junior members of staff to conduct clandestine operations, adding they were put under pressure, even though as well some of them knew it was morally wrong. They conclude the integrity of the playoffs was seriously violated, and it is now understood that Eckert is in danger of being sanctioned by the FA and could even face disciplinary issues with Southampton. So what next for the club? Could the players take legal action themselves? And as we said, is Eckert's future in jeopardy too? Joining us to bring us the very latest from Southampton is the Daily Echo Saints reporter Alfie House. Alfie, good evening to you. How are you?
Evening, Alfie.
Good evening, guys. Yeah, very busy this week, as you can imagine. And I thought you read out a very interesting bit there that Tom the Record said he didn't find the information useful. I mean, that didn't impress the panel by the sounds of it. It's not a great excuse, is it? Saying, sorry, I cheated, but it didn't help me.
Yes, yeah. So you were involved then, Tondo, if you knew about the information and you didn't find it useful. I mean, it's just obviously flagging up that he was very much heavily involved. And Alfie, from what you know and maybe what you're hearing down on the South Coast, what does that mean for Tondo Eckert?
Yeah, well, you read the reasons. Tom the Record does accept that he authorised the spying operation. So it's very clear in writing that he admits he did authorise it. There's no mention of sporting director Johannes Spors, who is the head of the football department at the club. I think it leaves Tom the Record's position largely untenable. I think the players have been in the training ground today to talk to him and to talk to the staff, and I think the owner is in town as well. And when that happens, it usually only means one thing. There is currently an FA investigation ongoing into Tom the Record's conduct, so it might be that Saints wait until the conclusion of that, possibly. But I think, we're looking for a new manager. I think that's pretty clear.
Alfie, I've managed football teams, so I've got mixed thoughts on this, really. I think that everybody's wrong in it. I think there is information that can help you an awful lot if you send someone to watch a training session on a Thursday, for example, and I've got two centre halves who are quick, and they're playing against Andy Carroll, for example, and he's training on Thursday morning. They're going to play Andy Carroll on Saturday. I'll leave one of the quick centre halves out, and I'll put a big centre half in. Or I can see the team shape. It gives me 2 days to prepare my team against a back five, for example. I can spend 2 days working on it. Or set plays. If they've got a set of set plays, corners, who's going up? I'll watch the 5 players who come up, so I know before the game these 5 are coming up. So you can learn a bit, which gives you an advantage. I thought Bielsa was bang out of order because we've got a code of conduct between us as managers that it's like cheap fare, isn't it? You know, you can't go and watch my team training, and we let each other use the training ground. If they're up the north, I would let them use the training ground, but I'd leave before they start training. I wouldn't watch, and we got a code of conduct. So the manager's wrong for doing it. It's like as if, has he not read the room? Bielsa got fined for doing it. It's brainless for sending 2 lads to watch training, but the punishment is ridiculous. Do you know what I'd do? Ban the manager for 6 months, fine the club £3 million, and that'll do. Ban the manager for 6 months. To knock him out.
I suppose in this situation, Alfie, Middlesbrough were clearly pushing for a sporting sanction as opposed to a financial one. I know what you're saying with Eckert, but that's clearly what they wanted to see, and that's what they've got out of this outcome.
Yeah, look, I agree with everything that's been said. I think that the club released a statement yesterday saying they believed it was a manifestly disproportionate punishment. And they listed a number of previous cases that clubs have been docked 4 points for or 6 points for that were they perceived to be worse crimes than spying on an opposition training session. And I thought what you said there was interesting as well. Part of the evidence that Tom Eckert gave in the hearing, he actually filmed his training session on the Wednesday and on the Thursday and Friday and submitted them to show that he'd already picked his starting 11. He'd already picked his tactics. And that they didn't actually deviate at all after what he learned from the spying operation on Thursday, which again is a way of saying that we didn't gain a sporting advantage here. But the panel decided very clearly that you don't need sporting success to have gained an advantage. Just because you didn't win the game or didn't change your tactics, you still sought to get that information. So I agree that I think the punishment is harsh. And also, Middlesbrough are not involved in the case. So although they are the victims, technically, in this instance, it was the EFL versus Southampton. So I think maybe that surprised the club that they actually put Middlesbrough back into the competition.
There's only one person to blame for the whole thing. It's the manager. He sent 2 young lads to watch to film it. The players don't know.
I mean, I agree in that to a degree, but there was more than the manager involved in this. Not just
ban all them then.
No, because the suggestion was that these interns were put under pressure to carry out activities which they felt were at the least morally wrong. So they would have alerted that to somebody, whether it was just Tom Eckert, but I assume there might have been a few more in that conversation, that they probably shouldn't have been doing this. But they felt that they were in such a vulnerable position that they had no choice but to do it.
Do you think one of them would have said to him, do you realise that Bielsa got fined for doing this? 200 grand. They must have told the manager it's wrong.
I don't
Bielsa got done for doing it.
Well, if they thought it was morally wrong, maybe they were thinking back, but they were quite young. I don't know if these particular individuals would have remembered that. It's not something necessarily.
So they're frightened of losing their jobs.
That's clearly what it was about.
So ban the manager for 6 months. Not all the players. It's not the fans. Not the staff. Ban him. It was down to him. Ban him for 6 months. Rather than do that to Southampton, where it's a £200 million game, and what else they can earn in the future, and all the players are now back to square one after playing in the Championship 3 times a week, battling like mad to get back in the Premier League, and because the managers made that decision, they all suffer. I think it's too harsh.
I think the players are furious. I think that's absolutely clear. The players are not happy about this. There's been 2 or 3 statements released already, and Taylor Harwood-Bellis, who got himself into a bit of trouble because he did a little bit of a spying celebration against Middlesbrough, he said that he wouldn't have done that if he knew about the severity of this, and he said that they weren't informed about the situation. Now, the fact that he's put that in a public statement suggests that he's annoyed about the fact that they weren't informed of the severity of the situation. The Leeds United case is interesting because that features prominently in the reasons. Southampton's defence, beyond the fact they said they didn't know the rules and that they didn't find the information useful, which was both laughed out, they used that Leeds as a real marker of a case to say, well, they got fined £200,000, so let's start with a financial sanction. But the EFL were very clear, or the independent panel were very clear, that those rules are outdated. There's brand new rules in place, and that's why it had to be a sporting sanction. Some of the fans can take some joy, maybe. They were meant to get 6 points deducted. They only got 4 next season because of how well they cooperated. So it could have been slightly worse, but I think that's probably small consolation.
Alfie, what do you think the punishment should have been then?
I think that it should have been a hefty fine and a points deduction, but obviously I have a little bit of skin in the game. I cover Southampton week in, week out, so I recognise there are some biases there. I feel that the information gained probably wasn't material for a sporting advantage, but ultimately cheating is cheating. It's not acceptable. And I think that the club needs to take action to root out anybody that was involved in this. I think they have to be really serious about it and rebuild their reputation.
Alfie, is this cheating then, right? Because we all do it. All managers do it. You say to one of the players, say it's McAllister at Liverpool, ask your mate if he's playing on Saturday, who plays for Aston Villa. Ask your mate if he's playing Saturday. So is that cheating?
It's a good question.
When he comes back and says,
no, you're right. Look, you're right. It's a good point. There's a lot of cans of worms that can be opened from this. I mean, diving in the last minute of the game and winning a penalty and going through in the competition is cheating, but that isn't punished by being expelled. So there are loads of instances of cheating which aren't given a death sentence. And somebody at the club told me that they felt it was being given a death sentence for shoplifting. That's how they felt they had been punished. So, look, disproportionate, absolutely.
The problem is, unfortunately for Southampton in this scenario, is it because it happened, as in why this has all come to light, during the preparation for a playoff, which is seen as a separate competition. Within the Commission's report, they do say that if this had happened during the season, then a points deduction would have been normal as a penalty. But because this is basically a one-off type competition, it wouldn't be fair to just give a points deduction because it's just not going to, help them in any way in the fact that Southampton might go up. They also spoke about a financial penalty being proposed by Southampton in this situation, and they in the Commission felt that actually that wouldn't help either, because if they win the playoff, they're going to get so much money that a fine would be nothing to them at the end of the day. And also they were saying that this may act as an incentive for clubs to breach Regulation 127, which is the observing of training 72 hours before a game, and pay the fine in an effort to increase the chance of promotion. So that is why they decided the only outcome was expulsion from the playoffs.
I'd like to know the name of the man that first suggested you chuck him out of the playoffs. One person would have been sat in there and gone, why don't we chuck him out?
Maybe so, but it's still a unanimous decision at the end of the day. Alfie, I appreciate it's been a very busy week for you. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alfie.
That was Alfie House, the Southampton reporter for the Daily Echo. Of course, it will be Middlesbrough against Hull then in that Championship playoff final on Saturday, kicking off at 3:30. It will be live on TalkSport. Up next, we will celebrate Arsenal's title win and ask what it means for the club. Can they kick on now? And will another season of effective, if not effervescent football, satisfy the fan base at the Emirates? You're tuning in to kick off on TalkSport. It's with Ladbrokes, 18 and over, begambleaware.org.
Things though with Villa, right? Unai Emery is the man. He is like, he has full control over everything. Transfers, youth club. There's no one telling him what to do. And there's been rumours about him going to Madrid. Can you imagine him going to Madrid, mate? If he's going to bench Mbappe to play someone else, mate, he'd get ousted straight away, wouldn't he?
Yeah, no.
Do you know what I mean?
It's the perfect fit. It's the perfect club. It's the perfect.
I know, but you're still Aston Villa, though.
What do you mean, Fundy?
Well, you mentioned Real Madrid, right?
Yeah.
Who's the bigger team?
What do you mean?
Cundy, come on, mate.
No, hold on a second. Hold on. Are you sorry? Have you taken stupid pills?
I don't know what.
Sorry. Are we? Sorry.
Were you trying to say Aston Villa bigger than Real Madrid?
No, of course not, mate. Of course not.
What are you trying to say, Joe? I don't know what you're saying. Explain yourself.
No, hold on. He's saying he wouldn't go to Real Madrid.
Yeah, because he's not in control.
Sorry, unless I've got you wrong, Dave.
Yeah, because he's not in control.
It's Real Madrid. What's wrong with you lot? Are you joking me?
Cundy, mate. Thing is, though,
Are you
listen to me, right? Hang on, Cundy, listen to me.
David.
Mate,
Listen to me. Are you saying to me he turned down Real Madrid?
As a manager? Right. So
no, man. What do you think I'm talking about?
Cundy, listen to me, right? He could go to Madrid, right? And
Dave, think about what you're going to say before you say it, okay?
Cundy, mate,
you're trying to think about it, okay?
You are.
He's
annoying me.
Take it away.
Dave, he's annoying me.
Yeah, mate, your canister is way bigger than your brain, mate. I swear down.
Say it then, Dave. Say it. So here's the situation. I'm going to throw it to you. Do you want the job? Unai, do you want the job?
It's career suicide, Cundy. It's career suicide. If you went to Real Madrid, right, you have 6 months, he'd oust Mbappe, he'd get ousted by the fans, and then he'd be done. Right? At Villa, I'll tell you what, he could play bloody Tyrone Mings at striker, and I'd still trust the process. Do you know what I mean?
Are you saying he's going to say no to Real Madrid?
Yes. Cundy, give Red a ball, mate. You're Chelsea. Where are you? 9th?
I tend to agree with you.
I don't know what to say today.
No, I get the whole. I get James. I get your whole argument.
I don't know what to say to him.
No. Shut up a minute.
Who would have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself? Well, the Super Bowl halftime show does exactly that. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest ever in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centerpiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first edition of the Super Bowl was held in 1967 when the Green Bay Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Los Angeles. Because of the sheer size of the event, organisers wanted to put on entertainment at halftime for the fans in the stadium. It was a display of marching bands, dancers and pure USA patriotism, and that was the theme that followed for years. In the 1980s, the Walt Disney Company got involved and we started seeing some interesting and questionable displays. But we got our first glimpse of halftime shows to come in '93 when none other than Michael Jackson stunned fans with his 15-minute medley of his own smash hits. When he walked out on stage, he had to wait for the crowd's cheers to die down for about 2 minutes before even starting his first song. Diana Ross, Gloria Estefan, Phil Collins all starred in their own shows, as did Aerosmith, who performed alongside NSYNC. Things got a little bit out of hand in 2004 when Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson produced perhaps the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction in history. Shows from the likes of Prince, Lady Gaga and Beyoncé are considered by critics as the best. To give you an idea of the scale of things, Rihanna's 2023 halftime show included roughly 800 people. These ranged from backing dancers to stage crew to camera operatives broadcasting to millions around the world. The whole stage for that show was built in roughly 8 minutes and was broken down and cleared away in the same time. The acts perform for free nowadays, even though the experts reckon it costs around $13 million to put on Rihanna's show. Artists know they'll rocket up the charts in the following weeks. Rihanna's average sales improved by 140% in the months following her performance. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
evening. This is Kickoff on TalkSport. Coming up in the final hour, we'll get stuck into all the big stories around the final day of the Premier League. What legacy does Pep Guardiola leave if it is to be his last match in charge of Manchester City when they take on Aston Villa on Sunday? Who out of West Ham and Spurs is most likely to avoid the drop? One will stay, one will go for sure. And we'll continue to preview tomorrow's England squad announcement. We'll take your calls if you want to get involved. 03717 223344. This is Kickoff on TalkSport. And it is Dean Saunders, the former Wales assistant coach.
Oh, thanks.
I thought I'd big you up there. Alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. Got something to say? No, I can see you're pensive.
No, I was just thinking there about Pep. What you said about Pep. He's not. I've heard some people say he's changed football. I think he's a trendsetter.
Well, why don't you leave it there? And we'll pick it
I'll
up
leave
later.
it there.
We'll pick it up later. I promise you that. But I like it. It's time now for us to take a look at the latest football action with Ladbrokes.
The big preview on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Certainly been quite the week for English sides when you think about Aston Villa winning their first trophy for 30 years. And now Arsenal, of course, have been since Tuesday celebrating the fact that they are champions of England once more, that after a wait of 22 years.
Well, I think the favourite is always the one that won the previous year. Somebody that has to come and take that crown away from them.
Gabriel has headed Arsenal in front. Arsenal lead by 2-1.
If they want to, cause mayhem at corners in order to score the goals that will get them the title, they've got every right to do that.
And there is a new hero in this part of the capital. His name is Eberechi Eze. It's Arsenal 4, Tottenham 1.
We're not seeing what we've seen in years gone by where they couldn't quite get over the line. They find a way to win now.
Really does set his stall out in terms of making sure he's secure at the back.
In elite sport, you don't get given anything. It's not easy.
Maybe it's the idea of what's at stake.
Is Arsenal's title dream fading away? Manchester City 2, Arsenal 1.
This is not the same Arsenal that used to be, 2 seasons ago.
West Ham 0, Arsenal 1. Leandro Trossard, this could be the biggest yet. Headed in by Havertz. Of course it's a corner. Of course it's a set-piece goal.
Our supporters, they've been waiting for 22 years for something like this to happen.
There's the full-time whistle. Arsenal, for the first time in 22 years, are champions of the Premier League.
Yes, it was confirmed on Tuesday after Bournemouth's draw with Manchester City meant that the Gunners were able to celebrate their 4th Premier League title without even kicking a ball, having picked up a win against Burnley on Monday night. So it's 1 down, 1 to go with the Champions League final on the horizon. Mikel Arteta has already ended one drought, but can he do what no Gunners manager has ever done before and lead the side to their first ever Champions League success? I'm pleased to say, joining us to revel in the glory, it is Arsenal fan and podcaster as well from the Highbury squad, Sophie Nicolau. How are you, Sophie?
Hi, Sophie.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
Oh, you're looking well.
How many Arsenal layers have you got on there?
So, Natalie, you know me quite well.
Yeah.
I never ever wear merch. I'm not a merch girl. I vowed never to buy Arsenal merch after the Southampton 3-3 at the Emirates a few seasons ago. And yesterday I went to the Armoury and literally just spent way too much money. And this jacket is actually woolly, so I'm about to take it off. But we have had to sit and listen to so much nonsense that this moment, this time is great. But can I just say something about you and Dean real quick? Because I love coming on TalkSport and talking and bantering and stuff. And Natalie's been a great guest on Highbury Squad, and we adore her. And I just love how you both have handled talking about Arsenal this season, and Danny Murphy too. You deserve a shout out. And Dean, especially being an ex-player, I've heard you talk about Mikel, the tactics, how we play, what we've wanted or needed to do in order to win. And I just appreciate those kinds of voices in understanding kind of what the ultimate goal was for us this season. It wasn't to play beautiful football. It was to close the Premier League title. And the team did exactly that. And I just wanted to give you two a little shout out because you were always kinder to us than some others.
Well, that's very kind of you to say.
We don't know what to say to that because we're not very good at taking compliments.
All right, I'm going to start taking my layers off now.
Yeah, do that, Sophie, first
do you know what, though? You turn the clock back, right? Arsene Wenger, under his watch, there was 17 contracts up. Ozil, Sanchez ended up, they left the contracts run down. They got 300 grand a week. Aaron Ramsey knocked the door and said, I want that as well. Ended up leaving. You had a load of players. I remember Bayern Munich away got beat 5-0. You got a load of players who want to play when you've got the ball and don't want to play when you haven't got the ball. Not playing for the shirt, just turning up and picking their wages up. And he gradually got them out. Aubameyang, gone. Pepe, gone. Lacazette. And that squad he's got there, it's took him 5-6 years. Everyone's got a good attitude. There's not one player sat on the bench who's got a bad attitude, where they used to have loads. So I think he deserves a pat on the back. And that's why you get 1-0s. Players who dig in and are prepared to scrap when you haven't got the ball. And I think they're going to beat PSG, by the way.
And he does.
I love that.
He does think that.
I think they are.
And I know that he's not just saying that. I know that Dean really actually believes that. And you're right. One of the things, too, that I think the squad deserves a lot of credit for is exactly what Dean is saying. You never heard any moans or groans from players who were benched, not publicly anyway. I think we did a really good job of handling things behind closed doors. Miles Lewis-Skelly was disappointed for most of the season for not being able to be given an opportunity. And we heard Declan and Mikel talk about how, Mikel was hard on him. But we never knew that. And I just love that we've gone from an apathetic attitude to now an Arsenal 2.0, where the player DNA is so elevated that you need to meet, especially with Mikel, certain criteria and non-negotiables to be part of this team. And you mentioned Aubameyang, and I totally supported that at the time. And I think that he showed at that moment that he was going to be the last call on what happens at Arsenal Football Club. And he deserves a lot of credit. Look, there are a lot of people behind the scenes who have helped Arsenal to this point. It's not just Mikel. There's a lot of people that have brought us to this point. But people have to believe in someone or something. And there was a time where I didn't believe in Mikel. I couldn't see the path forward. In those early 2 years on our show with Super Kev, he used to score me and talk to me about, Soph, it's the players. And once they cross that white line, and my goodness, this season, we've seen them cross that white line and really battle and bring Arsenal to this point. But if we're going to be honest, and I was on a panel last night with Adrian Clark, he was talking to everyone too about, this is Mikel's moment. And I really do feel that it is him and the players, but also our owners who have supported him throughout this process. If he was at another club, I'm not sure that happens, Natalie and Dean.
Well, what about the fact that they've really curbed their discipline? No red cards this season, 6 last time around.
Do you know what I like? I like now that we're talking about the real Arsenal of 25 and 26. This nonsense about bottling and tactics and set-piece FC and all of this stuff. And now we're focused on, well, how did they really do it? And when you look at all of the detail and you look at the first half of the season, especially where we really were actually so dominant, and to have no red card in an entire Premier League season is insane. We know Kai Havertz got away with one the other day, but it just shows you the discipline, because red cards were a huge issue under Mikel when he joined the club, and to have curbed that as well just shows you like the growth and how he has the team really, really together.
I was just thinking there, it's helped selling Granit Xhaka.
It did help the stats a little bit, Dean. You know what? You know how I feel? I'm wearing the O2 shirt, and we all know about the O2 team and their achievement. One of the things I've been talking to my friends about, and my cousin, at my cousin George's house, and seeing his sons turn around during the Bournemouth game and say, I'm actually going to see Arsenal win a title. And you think about this new generation of fans that just haven't seen it. And, you know, we're kind of this collective group of fans who have been waiting for this moment. I feel more connected to this title than I did to the Invincibles. And I love the Invincibles. And we've had these heroes for so long, but we've been so desperate for new heroes. Who can we sing about? Who can we start having the discussion about who's a real legend? And now we're there. And I feel connected, I think, mostly because I identify, you know, I'm a North London girl from Palmer's Green, and I love that we have players from London in our team. They don't all have to be like the Highlanders, but they're from London and they feel like so connected. And, you know, when they talk about the modern day players removed from the fan, really? Did anyone see at 5 a.m. Saka and Eze and Jurrien Timber and Declan walking around the Emirates? And that was the purest content, and it was organic, that I've seen in a long time. And I think players get, you know, a lot of flack these days for, you know, the money they earn and there's no connection. That's why I feel like when you see Eze and Saka and Declan, they know what it's like. They're London boys. They know what this means. And Mikel gets it. He's played for the club. And so that outsider-insider, and you mix that London base with the eclectic team that we have, it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
So, can you do the double in a word? Can you do it?
Why not us, Natalie?
I know. That's why I asked you the question.
And you nearly broke into full Cockney there, right at the end of that.
Listen, Sophie, we've been chatting for so long, as in for so many years, and the wait is finally over. You're Premier League champions, and I'm really happy for you. And thank you for being with us. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the celebrations.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you both so much. At ease, squaddies.
Sophie Nicolau, thank you very much. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
The Big Preview on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And remember, Arsenal go to Crystal Palace on the final day of the season. You kind of feel like that might be a processional kind of game where they're celebrating. Palace are thinking ahead to the Conference League final as well. We will, of course, look ahead to the final games of this Premier League season. And next, in particular, we'll focus on the relegation battle. Dino also wants to talk about a certain Mo Salah. That's coming next on Kickoff on TalkSport.
What was your overriding emotion last night, watching it all unfold and feeling as you do for this great club?
I think for me, it's Aston Villa a sleeping giant. You know, European Cup winners in 1982. All you ever heard was, you wasn't born. You wasn't born when Villa won that. They've only won, last trophy was 30 years ago. So it was that pressure, sort of that monkey off the back for Aston Villa fans and the players and the football club. But emotion as well, Jim, because I spoke to so many Villa fans, parents that have passed away, you know, family members that have passed away, and what this would have meant to those people that aren't here today. And people are going through a lot. You know, everyone's going through a lot, football fans. What last night can do to give people a boost, what they're going through in their life. It was amazing to see my people, my fellow Brummies, so happy.
Brilliant. Your people. You're right. Your people. In terms of legendary status, Gabby, where is this group now?
Oh, they're legends. And I say this all the time, Jim. I don't like to be called a legend. I feel legends of a football club need to win something. I really do. The 1982 players, they're legends of the football club. Now, these group of players are. And the one player, I don't like to pick one, but the one player that stands out for me is our captain. Scotland are lucky to have him, John McGinn. Immense, and I was so happy for him, what he's been through for this football club. the small price that Aston Villa paid for him. Was it 2.5 million? What a player, what a nice guy, and what a captain.
Gabby, can I ask you personally, did you watch with regret last night that you never quite experienced a night like that?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, we got to the Carabao Cup final, we got to the FA Cup final and lost, but to get to a European final and get it over the line, the pressure that was on the players because they were highly favourites in the game as well to win against Freiburg. It wasn't like a jealous feeling. It was like, wow, I missed out. Wow, what I'll do to be on that pitch to share that, because the players know, Jim, the players get it, what it means to the Aston Villa fans to win another European Cup title.
You're listening to Kick Off here on TalkSport with the former Liverpool striker Dean Saunders and me, Natalie Sawyer. The latest episode of How to Win the World Cup is now live. Matt Ford and comedian Susie McCabe speak with the former Scotland midfielder Jackie McNamara to reflect on Steve Clarke's squad announcement and discuss the Tartan Army's chances in America this summer.
Obviously, Scotland have Brazil again this time. What advice would you give to the current squad, having faced them in 1998?
I mean, when we got the team through and with Craig, you had the real Ronaldo, you had Rivaldo, Cafu, Roberto Carlos, Dunga, right through
Mario,
Bebeto, and we actually got their team through into our dressing room, and we'd done all this stuff the night before, and Craig thought Danielson would be starting before Bebeto, and he's like, he says, great news. He says, they're going with Danielson instead of Bebeto. He says he can't get a club. Then we went out and we're doing it, and they're all lined up to go out at the Stade de France, and they looked $1 million.
Well, that was former Scotland midfielder Jackie McNamara there on How to Win the World Cup. Available now wherever you get your podcasts and on the TalkSport World Cup YouTube channel. Speaking of the World Cup, just a little reminder for you of what we believe to be the big stories ahead of tomorrow's England squad, as TalkSport understands. So Harry Maguire has been told that he will not be involved, and we exclusively have been told here at TalkSport that he is gutted at being axed. Ivan Toney and Ollie Watkins, we believe, are in as the backup to Harry Kane. Jordan Henderson is in instead of Adam Wharton. That's a TalkSport exclusive. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, Morgan Gibbs-White, Luke Shaw and Lewis Hall all left out, as we understand it.
Few quid's worth there.
Just a bit. John Stones expected to be picked despite lack of minutes this season, and Miles Lewis-Skelly hoping for a recall. The interesting part with him is where he will play, and our sources are saying potentially he's going to be selected as a midfield option. There we go.
Well,
choices.
Adam Wharton will be gutted.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of people that are going to be gutted, without a doubt. Don't forget, we're going to bring you the whole squad first from 9:45 tomorrow morning. And the England legend that is Carl Walker, who is going to be part of our World Cup team, will be joining Drive to discuss the final squad tomorrow. That will be fascinating, no doubt. We're going to talk about the relegation battle in a bit, but we want to talk about Mo Salah right now and what you think, Dean, should happen with the Liverpool start. Let's just say and repeat, if people can't remember, what he put on social media just a few days ago. This was after Liverpool's defeat to Aston Villa. where he said, I've witnessed this club go from doubters to believers and for believers to champions. It took hard work and I always did everything I could to help the club get there. Nothing makes me prouder than that. Us crumbling to yet another defeat this season was very painful and not what our fans deserve. I want to see Liverpool go back to being the heavy metal attacking team that opponents fear and back to being a team that wins trophies. That is the football I know how to play, and that is the identity that needs to be recovered and kept for good. It cannot be negotiable, and everyone that joins this club should adapt to it. He says winning some games here and there is not what Liverpool should be about. All teams win games. Liverpool will always be a club that means a great deal to me and to my family. I want to see it succeed for long after I have moved on. And as we know, he is moving on. Now that has, I'm going to tell you, 1.1 million likes on Instagram.
Well, I'm going to upset all of them then.
Uh-oh.
And I understand there was a poll on TV where 94% of Liverpool fans agreed with Mo Salah. And I agree, right? So all the fans out there, I agree the team's not been playing well at all. Okay. I agree the style of football is not what Liverpool play.
So you agree with the sentiment?
I agree with what he said. It's obvious to all of us, right? Okay. And he is one of the best players ever to play for Liverpool. I'm his biggest fan. But once again, for the third time this season, that is bang out of order, what he's wrote. Because you can read between the lines. And I blame the club a little bit, right? Because if you don't say to the players at the start of the season, this is a team game. If you go on Twitter and put a tweet on anything negative about Liverpool Football Club, which is a machine and well-respected club, that's not what we do at Liverpool Football Club. You can't go on there, criticise the club, the way the club's playing, the way the manager's trying to get the team to play, and the 12 players that liked the tweet, they should be ashamed of themselves as well because they know what they're doing. And it's just no class whatsoever. Mo Salah, I'm disappointed for him because he should be walking out the club now, getting a round of applause off everybody. So he's thrown what he's done, he's thrown his toys out the pram when he left him out. He said, I've been thrown under the bus. That didn't get the manager the sack. So he tried again by saying, I'm leaving, halfway through his 2-year contract, when he just signed a new one 8 months ago. That was all right then, but because the manager's not picking him, he's gone, right, I'm off, or sack him. He never sacked him. So on his way out this time, he's left, as he's leaving, he's chucked a hand grenade in there. And now you've got a problem, which is it's going to be, watch what happens. There's going to be an epidemic of players going on Twitter and writing tweets, negative tweets. Managers left me out. We never played well. Don't speak unless all your teammates agree. It's a team game. If you're a golfer, you can say what you like and it affects you.
You just said how many players liked it?
12.
Quite a big number.
So why are you doing that? Why are you liking it? As if to just say, well, just in case he's on the floor, Arnie Slot, we'll all just jump on top of him while he's on the floor. So just take that, so you all know what we think. That's not how Liverpool Football Club do things. That should be done behind closed doors. It should be... I just think it's scandalous what he's done.
Well, listen, let's carry this conversation over, because I know we should probably hit a break, because there's lots more that we can digest from this, because obviously the final game of the season for Liverpool is at Anfield on Sunday when they take on Brentford. Be interesting with your manager's hat on, what Arne Slot should do in this scenario. Stay with us, though. You are tuning in to kick off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
It is a sensational story and so many strands to it. And I've seen a lot of Southampton fans who've come out in condemnation of the club. They say this is the darkest day in their long history. And I think a lot of Southampton fans are quite embarrassed at the way in which their name has been dragged through the mud. As you say, the punishment is immediate expulsion from that playoff final on Saturday, the £200 million game. So they have been stolen of the right to possibly get back into the Premier League the first time of asking, and a 4-point deduction for the start of next season. That's because, as I understand it, the EFL argued that the playoffs needed to be treated as a separate cup competition. Obviously, Southampton admitted spying on Middlesbrough, so that's where that punishment comes from. They also admitted over the course of this hearing with the Independent Commission spying on at least 2 other Championship teams, which is why there's also a points penalty for next season. Southampton appealed it immediately, not because they feel they're innocent, but because they feel the punishment doesn't really befit the crime. One of the things I was told coming out of St Mary's is they feel this is unprecedented. It is, because there isn't a precedent. I know that Marcelo Bielsa escaped with a fine, but it was only after that incident ahead of the Leeds final playoff with Derby that it was put in the rule book. So this is uncharted territory. Southampton have told staff in an email that I've seen from the Chief Executive, Phil Parsons, their legal team are confident they've got a strong case. They're going to keep preparing for this game on Saturday. I don't think it's going to be overturned in terms of Southampton being allowed to play this final. What could happen is a sort of halfway house where the points deduction gets rescinded. But I think there's enough evidence that Southampton will not take their place at Wembley. We're hearing stories of analysts dressing as staff wearing the kits of non-league Eastleigh when Ipswich were using their training ground in order to spy. So this is quite sinister in many ways. This is not just some bloke who's turned up at the Middlesbrough training ground and filmed a few minutes of training. So I think they're bang to rights. I think they've shown very little contrition. I think it's poor that we haven't had a statement from Southampton in the aftermath of this punishment. We still haven't heard officially from the club. Yeah, we're a long way down the line now. Surely they should have had something prepared.
You're listening to Kickoff on TalkSport. It is Dean Saunders and Natalie Sawyer with you until 10 o'clock, and then the sports bar is going to be coming your way. We will be talking about, of course, Pep Guardiola, as it seems as though Sunday could well be his last game in charge of Manchester City. But that is to come, because we're going to carry on the conversation we were having about Mo Salah.
All right.
And now the dilemma that Arne Slot has on Sunday for that team sheet when it goes in. What does he do with Mo Salah after clearly he's been critical, Mo Salah, on social media about the style of football at the club and basically essentially how disappointed he has been with what has gone on this season at the club. When he has, and it's been loved and liked by many, many people, over 1 million people have loved it. This is on Instagram. When it is quite clearly a message that he's sending out there about Arne Slot and his style of football, what does he do now, the manager?
Right, if it was me and it wasn't Mo Salah, obviously, my first thought was, if any player ever done that to me, get your boots and get out the door, get in your car and don't come back. Okay. Because I know what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And if you don't set a precedent, that you got Engamola be writing tweets soon, if you're not careful, young lads. So you've got to send the message out, that's unacceptable for any player at the club. But
there is a but.
Because the fans are on Mo Salah's side and they're not having Slot under any circumstances, on Saturday, is it Saturday? Sunday's game, rather than heap a bit more pressure on himself now by leaving Mo Salah out, he's going to make it worse for himself.
Yeah.
So I think he has to rise above it and say, yeah, then Mo, it's your last game for the club. You deserve, I'm the bigger man in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to deny you getting a send-off from the fans. You've been a legend for the club. Just because we've fallen out at the end, start the game and off you go. Because if he puts him on the bench and they lose a goal, what do you think's going to happen?
Chance for Mo
So
Salah.
I think, I think Arnie Slot. I don't think anybody. It's a position he don't want to be in, though, is it? You know, like he won the league last year, and obviously I can see that he's not getting the results, and he's about to get sacked at any minute.
Mm.
But you can't conduct yourself at Liverpool Football Club like that. And they should all be fined. I'd fine him straight away 2 weeks' wages. If you ask me what, the lad I'm sending home, it's 2 weeks' wages.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah. He's in a rock and a hard place as Arne Slot.
Without discipline, Nat, in football, you've got nothing. You've got 35 multi-millionaires that you have to control somehow. They've all got egos, and you've got to somehow keep them under control. So they like discipline. Footballers like knowing where the boundary is. That stepped over the boundary. Yeah. If Ian Poulter writes something about himself, fair enough, he's a golfer.
Yeah.
But you when you write something about a team, have all your teammates agreed with you?
Well,
like
you said 12 of them
like you said, 12 of them have joined in. What about the other 20 who've not mentioned it? So it's wrong in my eyes, but I understand the fans are not going to agree with me. Because he's a legend.
Yes. I mean, from a professional standpoint, I agree.
It's wrong.
Completely it's wrong. But yeah, the fans see it only one way because they have not lived up to any expectations this season, Liverpool. And Mo Salah is just echoing, I guess, what a lot of fans will be thinking. But that's to come on Sunday.
See that lack of discipline you've just witnessed by the 12 players and Mo Salah? That's what's been going on the pitch. It's connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you wonder what's been going on behind the scenes for that to come out like it has.
Indeed.
They're not with the manager, are they?
No. Let's move on. Talking of a manager that we might well see depart the Premier League come the end of this season, which is Pep Guardiola. His 593rd and final game in charge of Manchester City is due to take place this Sunday at the Etihad as Manchester City take on Aston Villa. So what might be next for him? To discuss this, we can speak to Manchester City correspondent for The Athletic, Sam Lee. How are you doing, Sam? Good evening.
Hi, Sam.
Yeah, good, thanks. Busy week. How's it going?
Busy week. It feels it's been busy for everybody with all the different stories that have been emanating throughout the last few days. But just to confirm, in your eyes, this will be his last game in charge?
Yeah. I mean, we always say Guardiola can stay at City for as long as he likes. But if he was to somehow completely hypothetically change his mind now, it might even be too late for that. It might even be too late for City to say, oh, yeah, okay, everything's far down the line. My colleague David Ornstein, everyone knows his record, reported yesterday that Enzo Maresca is already working with Hugo Viana, the sporting director, on transfer plans and plans for next season. Like, that's how far down the line it is. Everything is set up. We're just waiting for the official confirmation now.
So what do you think the reason is as to why Pep has decided to leave? Is it because there's something else on the horizon, or is it just that it's time and he needs a break? Because we obviously saw it after Bayern Munich. He had that sabbatical when he moved to New York.
I think he's decided 18 months ago, basically, when he signed the contract in November 2024, it was a 2-year contract. And that was a big surprise because he planned to leave in 2025. But he went, no, I've got to stay. I'm not doing well on the pitch. I'm going to stay. 2-year deal. But we believe he decided there and then that he would actually leave this summer. And he seems to have just stuck to that, basically. I've always thought that he'd have to just set an arbitrary point in time, because if he wanted to go out on a high, he could have done that after the treble or winning 4 Premier Leagues in a row. If he wanted to go out on a low, he could have done that last season. He's just always motivated to go again. And I think at some point, he's effectively said, maybe like, I need to save myself from myself. And if I set this end date, come what may, then that's what I need to stick to. And I think that's what we're seeing. I don't think there's any particular reason for it, because to be honest, he seems motivated enough and in love with the team enough to carry on. But he must have just decided enough's enough now.
He'll be remembered, I think, as an absolute legend, a trendsetter. he didn't change football, but he set the trends off, like goalkeepers playing with their feet, fullbacks going inverted, going infield and playing in midfield, things like that. That when you're managing a top club and you got to win every week, to try it, you got to have some bottle to actually attempt to do what he was doing. All the players rotating and playing in different positions, and then also managing, as I said earlier, multi-millionaires, and keeping them all under control for how long? 7 years? How long has he been there?
10.
2016.
10 years. And he doesn't have many disagreements, does he? Not that comes
not
out.
that we know.
Yeah, you know, like
He does. Don't worry
he
about
has
that.
behind closed doors when he's at Sane.
Yeah.
You know, Sane.
Yes.
Apparently, he got rid of Sane because he didn't run back twice in a game, and that was the end of him. And
I'm sure there's a bit more to it than that. As
well,
well.
that's the basic argument. But he'll have
it wouldn't
behind
be far
closed
off.
behind closed doors, but not out in public.
That's true. So you've mentioned Enzo Maresca with what David Ornstein has already said. How seamless a transition do you think that is going to be?
I don't think it's ever going to be seamless, but I think that is what City are aiming for because they know him. He was the under-23s manager originally, and that's because he was recommended to Cheeky Begiristain, who was the director of football, by Manuel Pellegrini, who was the old City manager. And Pellegrini is kind of effectively a mentor for Maresca. So you can see this kind of City thread running through it all. And Begiristain then said, okay, maybe we should give him an interview for the under-23s job. And he kind of wowed everybody with that. Did a good job, went to Parma, didn't do particularly well, but then he came back and he joined Pep's staff, and that was in the treble season. Then he went to Leicester, then he went to Chelsea, and he's been doing well. And because it's that old cliche, he knows the club know him, they don't want a massive change after Guardiola goes because everything's kind of ticking along quite nicely. So they are aiming for it to be fairly seamless because they just want a good fit, and they do see him as a good fit. But at the end of the day, nobody's Guardiola, are they? So that's going to be difficult. But
and just
in
very
terms of the style of play, he's up there. Sorry.
No, my apologies for interrupting. Just very quickly, Sam. When will they make the announcement that Pep is leaving? Then?
We're thinking tomorrow. I can't see how it would drag on any longer, to be honest. Maybe he'd want to do it on the pitch.
Announcement. What?
The England squad announcement has been gay crashed already. Everyone knows who's in it and who's not in it.
That's true. That's true. Okay, well, it's interesting you say tomorrow because many thought it might have actually happened after that Villa game, but you think it'll be ahead of that, which I think would be better because at least everyone gets to give him a proper send-off.
Yeah, exactly. And like maybe that may have been the plan potentially if it hadn't have come out at the start of the week, but the cat's out of the bag now, isn't it? And to be honest, it's not a surprise that it's gone on this long, but if it went on any longer than tomorrow, I think it would be a bit ridiculous. So trying to drag it out until Sunday seems unnecessary, to be honest. I think they just need to draw a line under it now the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Sam, thank you. Enjoy that final day. I'm sure there'll be lots of celebrations
Thanks,
there.
Sam.
Bernardo Silva leaving as well. Thank you very much. That was Sam Lee, the Athletics Manchester City correspondent. And Manchester City against Aston Villa will be one of our exclusive Premier League commentaries this Sunday on the TalkSport app as we bring you the best coverage of the final day. We are on until 10 o'clock, and then after us, of course, you've got the Sports Bar coming your way. And look who's joined us. Hello, James.
Evening. How are we? How are you? How are you, Gaffer? You good?
Not bad. No, I'm better than you.
Go on, what do you mean?
You've gutted. Arsenal won the league.
Yeah, I know. It's been a bad week, mate. Let's try not to remind me, will you?
I was going to say you're very happy.
Well, you know, it's the end of the week.
And Chelsea.
Sunday, Spurs are going to win.
I was just about
it's
to say.
all over.
You say it's the end of the week, but what a huge game.
I know. We got that. I've got to do the game day phone-in on Sunday as well, which is going to be brutal, straight after the game. So it's going to be absolutely awful. But no, all good. Got the Sports Bar coming up. Heard you talking about Mo Salah. You know, I thought you was banging you right there. Absolutely 100%. It's funny because when Stino was our gaffer, we had a WhatsApp group and we just slaughtered him every week. So,
yeah, that's all right.
You know, Mo Salah's come out and done it publicly, you know.
That's the difference.
All right. Yeah. You can't keep everyone happy.
You were nice to his face, but what you said behind him.
Who's this charlatan who's took over here at Wolves?
Do you think the players care that Pep Guardiola's leaving? They don't.
Oh,
well,
players don't care. They don't care less.
They might love him.
They respect him. No, nobody loves him. They respect him.
Did you ever?
They will respect him.
I love Dean. I love Dean.
Not at the time.
He played me when I was rubbish.
Well,
there you go. That's nice of him.
Yeah, I got sacked though.
Yeah, you did get sacked. Playing me.
I was about to say, just for that reason. So what's coming up?
So we are doing, obviously we got the World Cup stuff coming up and we know the England squad and all that Harry Maguire stuff, but we thought we were going to do a Sports Bar 11. We love it. It's Thursday night, bit of fun. Anything to do with England, right? So not England players or anything like that, just anything to do with England. Fish and chips, Big Ben, all that kind of stuff. We're picking 11, getting the team, and we'll have a laugh about it. So we need your calls because what happens normally is we do 15 minutes of chatting about it and we need the calls now. So that's why I'm in.
Prince William.
03717 223 Who?
Prince William.
It's got to link. Is
Is
it
that
got to
Eng-
link
is that what
to
you mean?
someone?
Oh, yeah.
English.
Yeah. English.
Villa fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got to be something like that.
Well,
Big Ben.
he's the leader, isn't he?
Right,
That's what
you know,
you're saying.
Big Ben up top because, you know,
Nice.
produces every minute of the day.
Yeah.
You know, he's big, he's tall, does the job. That type of, you know. This is what we do on the Sports Bar. It's like riveting stuff, right?
It's great, though.
I don't know how we get away with it, to be honest.
Who are you on with, Cundy?
Yeah. What else are we gonna
His
be on
hair's
with?
not tucked.
He hasn't
is
got
it?
the Jamie O'Hara mask again, has he?
No, no, they see that, Nat.
Of course they
Unbelievable.
did.
They hid that from me. They didn't know anything about it. It's out of order. I am the whipping boy on TalkSport. It's a disgrace. Really.
Your hair's looking lovely, actually.
Thanks, Dave.
Best I've seen it.
Being
Right,
nice.
Listen, you've got to go and prepare for the fight.
Yes, go on.
You've not got
Enjoy
long.
yourself.
We've
Good
only
to
got a
see
little
you.
bit left
Cheers,
as well.
Jamie.
We
All
look
right.
forward to that, though, the Sports Bar at 10. But yeah, as Jamie said, get your calls in now, 03717 22 and there is a small matter of a relegation fight for us to talk about next.
Spurs are back.
I mean, he's been given 7 years. And of course, during that 7 years, what he's done is incremental progress. There's a little bit of flatlining. I mean, I wrote an article in 2023 saying that they had to spend £250 million to stand still after that first season where they finished second and they blew it themselves. And they did spend £250 million to stand still because they finished second each season. But you've seen the evolution of his thinking. You've seen the evolution of the manner in which it interacts with the media. You've seen the style of play change. Yeah. But you've also seen them become more competitive in Europe at the same time because people turn around and say you can't have both. If you're going to do well in the league, you might find yourself being compromised in the Champions League, but they've gone deeper in the Champions League than perhaps some of their predecessors, notably Arsene Wenger, did for significant periods of his time during his tenure. So he's won on most fronts. So you have to give him all of the plaudits that this achievement deserves because the end has justified the means.
What was the defining moment, Danny? Did the signing of Declan Rice appear on that particular list, if you're looking at what really clinched it?
Well, he's been a big factor, but he's been there a little while where they haven't got over the line. So I actually thought this season, the defeat at Arsenal kind of Man City set them free a little bit because then they became the chaser and it was a bit like, oh, nothing to lose, let's go. And they went again. Although they weren't brilliant, it still gave them a new focus and a new impetus.
Well, some thought they'd bottle it after that.
They did because they've done it before. But I think Arteta deserves... When you look at the numbers, which I was looking at last night for the last 4 seasons, the 3 seconds and then the win, this is their most pragmatic season. They've been more... they've scored more goals in previous seasons. They've been more expansive, let's say, better to watch. And he made a conscious choice this season of becoming even more resilient and more difficult to play against.
Yeah.
And that is a brave decision, side, because if it didn't go well,
it can be castigated.
Yeah.
I mean, success in football has an irony because it's often an orphan. It's attributed to one person, and failure has many fathers. In this instance, success has many fathers because I think you can take it back to the decision to break up the dressing room, to get rid of Aubameyang, and to be supported in doing that. For Kroenke to have the penny drop and bring his son into it, so there's day-to-day interaction between the ownership model and the change of direction from being people that were prepared to invest very little to people that are prepared to give the first-team manager the tools to go up against the opposition. So I think all of these things on the way bring out this end result.
This is the final part of Kickoff on TalkSport. It's the former Wales striker Dean Saunders, who's with me, Natalie Sawyer. We're going to focus on the relegation battle just for the last few minutes of the show. And as we know, either Spurs or West Ham will go down from the Premier League this weekend. Just 2 points separate them. Spurs are 17th, West Ham in that final relegation spot. A Spurs win against Everton guarantees their safety, while a draw should also be enough because of their goal difference. Anything less than a win for West Ham against Leeds at home too would see them go down regardless of what Spurs do. Only a Spurs loss and a West Ham win would see Roberto De Zerbi's side relegated. And with such an important day ahead, you'd imagine Spurs will need everyone to be there, to be united. But how about this? Club captain Christian Romero won't be in attendance at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and he won't even be in the country. Here's TalkSport's South American expert, Tim Vickery.
And Christian Romero, 2 big games this Sunday, but which one will he be at, Tim? Do you know?
I do, yes.
Okay.
He will be at the final of the Argentine Championship.
Like a good club captain, not at the biggest game in Tottenham's history since 1976. Then. Fantastic. True to the end. Good old Christian, true to the
end. Between Belgrano and River Plate.
Yeah.
Well, it is. I knew this would wind you up. Just light the touch paper and retreat to a safe distance. Luckily, I am at a safe distance on the other side of the Atlantic. It's the final of the Argentine Championship this Sunday. It's Belgrano against River Plate. Belgrano are Romero's club.
Right.
So he's got to be fair, it's the club that he started. He's a fan. He's a fan of the club,
as opposed to the one that pays his wages.
Good point, well made. And Belgrano have never won the Argentine title, so this really is historic.
I think we could all hear Spurs fan Paul Hawksby just dismayed by this news that Romero will not be at Tottenham. We know he's injured, of course, but to not even be there as the club captain.
I'm not surprised he's dismayed. That is right. If that's how it's been told, it's true, right? If there's other things I don't know about that's gone on behind the scenes, it's a disgrace. They've got to win the game to stay in the league. And if you're wondering why Spurs are in the mess they're in, there's your captain. Wow. There's your discipline. Getting sent off every week. And there's not enough good pros in that dressing room that actually say, what are you playing at?
Yeah.
You're the captain. You should be here.
Well, obviously, Roberto De Zerbi, we assume, and the hierarchy have given him permission to go. And maybe he's gone to Argentina as well to get fit because he might want to be a part of that Argentina World Cup squad, obviously. But I agree with you. He's your club captain. He's one of the most important people that you'd like to be in that dressing room, giving that rallying cry.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly they don't think they need him to do that.
Spurs are on the brink of it's like the Titanic going down. They're on the brink of disaster.
Yeah.
And the captain, who should be in the dressing room, passing some information on to younger players. Hey, come on today, saying the right thing.
Well,
and if you're wondering, Jed Spence and Van der Ven not shaking hands with Thomas Frank on the way off, there's one sign of lack of discipline. Yep. And that tells you everything you need to know about Spurs. Your captain is not even at the most important game for years.
And this is it. As much as I understand his pull, the heart, the emotion of Belgrano potentially winning the league, as Tim Vickery said, they've never done that before. Tottenham have never been relegated from the Premier League.
No,
so don't you want to be all wrong that?
So
stick around with those potential celebrations that you've stayed up. I know, but a lot of people say, why would you want to celebrate something like that? But that does happen when you've stayed up on the final day of the season. I find it absolutely baffling. A quick word then on what you think is going to happen. Who do you think will go down of those two teams?
Do you know what? I can't. I've been thinking about it for a few days. West Ham could win. Spurs could win. Or they could both lose. I actually don't know what's around the corner. It's bounce of the ball now on the day.
One thing I'm going to quickly say, Chelsea took on Tottenham on Tuesday. Tottenham went there knowing that even a point was going to be good enough to keep them up. They obviously lost that game and they were terrible. Off the first 5-10 minutes, they were all right. But after that, they just faded away. Do you think the disappointment of that going into this game on Sunday could have an effect, and the reverse effect on West Ham, who might have thought we'll be relegated by the time we play this game on Sunday, so they're going to be buoyed by the fact that they've still got that fighting chance?
West Ham have been absolutely abysmal the last 3 games. Abysmal. I mean, like some of the defending, Wan-Bissaka, Traore letting his man run off him. Diassi, is it Diassi, centre-half?
Disassi, yeah.
Disassi, playing in a back 5 at Newcastle, right? under-18 centre-back would not run into the middle of midfield where he ran and left a big hole behind him.
It's a bad game, that one.
All round until they changed to a back four.
Mm.
So you could say the manager got the team shape wrong, but individuals actually rolling their sleeves up until the sub come on. What's his name? Tati? Something like that.
Oh, Castellanos.
Yeah, when he come on, he made a bit of a difference. He's got scored a great goal, by the way. Give him a bit of a... But they were out the game before then. But I can't see West Ham getting a point. Sorry, a lot of my mates are West Ham fans, but I can't see them getting a point.
That means they're not going to stay up then.
No, I can't see them getting a point. Spurs, I can't see Spurs winning either.
Well, if that's the case, it means Spurs do stay up. But yeah, it would be a
I got to let it go.
Highly charged Sunday.
I've got to let it go. But what about Romero?